Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the June 24th through 25, 2026 board meeting. My name is Sang Oh, President of the board. Before we convene, in the event of an emergency, there are two exits in this meeting room. The door to you enter through and as well as the door on the side of the dais to my left. I would like to remind everyone present that the board is a consumer aid protection agency charged with administering and enforcing pharmacy law where protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted. The protection of the public shall be paramount. As I facilitate this meeting, I will announce when we are accepting public comment. And as the meeting agenda details, the board has significant business to complete today, including time-sensitive closed session items. To ensure the board has sufficient time to complete all of its necessary work, I have advised the meeting moderator to allot 3 minutes to each individual providing comments. During some recent meetings, the board has faced time constraints resulting in deferral of discussions, and to address this, we may need to reduce public comment to 2 minutes during portions of the meeting. If such action is necessary, I will make an announcement and advise the meeting moderator. As a reminder, as included on agendas, the board provides contact information for individuals to provide written comments in advance of the meetings, should they so choose, at least in 48 hours in advance. Thank you to all of your understanding as the board takes action necessary to ensure it has sufficient time to complete all of its business. During public comment periods throughout the meeting, we will begin with public comments for individuals attending in person, followed by public comments by individuals participating via WebEx. This approach is necessary to facilitate this meeting. And before we get started, I would like to ask staff moderating the meeting to provide general instructions. Moderator?
Thank you. This is the moderator. If you would like to make comments on any agenda items throughout the meeting, you may look for the raise hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And if you are joining us by calling, you may press *3 to raise your hand. Request or comments will be called upon in the order they are received. Once your name is called up, please click on this prompt you'll receive on your screen to unmute yourself. For members of the public joining us via dial-in, you may press *6 to unmute yourself. You'll have 3 minutes with the 10-second warning, and time will be changed as advised by the president. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely be displaying instructions throughout. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. I would also like to remind individuals participating in the meeting via WebEx that, consistent with the board's policy and with implementation of the board's new learning management system, pharmacists and pharmacy technicians attending the meeting via WebEx tomorrow, June 25th, may be awarded up to 6 hours of CE. Please review the information on the agenda and follow the instructions provided to ensure you're eligible. You'll be required to register through the board's learning management system, PharmEd. I'd like to take a roll call to establish a quorum. I know today we got a lot of WebExers, so let me just go down with alphabetical order here with Jesse Crowley.
Licensee member present.
Thank you, Jesse. Renee Barker.
Licensee member present.
Thank you, Renee. Jeanette Dong, I believe, is not joining today. Jeff Hughes.
Public member present.
Good morning, Jeff. KK Ja.
Licensee member present, and nobody over the age of 18 is present in this room.
Thank you, KK. Claudia Mercado.
Public member present, and there's nobody over the age of 18 present in this room.
Thank you, Claudia. Jay Newell.
Public member present.
Thank you, Jay. Ricardo Sanchez.
Ricardo Sanchez, public member.
Thank you, Ricardo. Satinder Sandhu.
Licensee member present. No one over the age of 18 present in the room.
Thank you, Satinder. Maria Serpa.
Licensee member present.
Thank you, Maria. Nicole Tebow.
Licensee member present, and no persons 18 years or older are present with me in the room at this time.
Thank you, Nicole. And I, licensee member, is present. A quorum has been established, but however, as a safeguard, I would like us to proceed with hoping our member Tebow can declare if you are okay. Nicole?
Yes, absolutely. I need to attend and participate remotely in the June 24th through 25th, 2026 meeting due to a chronic illness that makes travel very difficult.
Thank you, Nicole. I would like to make a motion for member Tebow to based on Member Tebow's description of the circumstances relating to their need to attend and participate in the June 24th and 25th meeting from a remote location, approve Member Tebow's attendance and participation from a remote location at the June 24th through 25th, 2026 meeting, and authorize the Member Tebow's attendance and participation from a remote location shall count toward the establishment of a quorum as permitted by Government Code Section 11123.2 J. May I get a second from our members, one of them? here?
Second.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Ricardo. And then we are hoping for, do I have to do public comment on this too, Corinne?
I'm sorry, what was the
Do I
question?
have to do public comment because there was a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember doing that, but okay, I'll do it just to be safe. Okay, we're ready for public comment? In the room, this is just related to this motion. And then public comment in WebEx related to the motion I made.
Hi, this is the moderator. If you would like to make a comment on this motion, please click on the raising icon at the bottom of the WebEx screen. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. Seeing no comments, I turn the floor back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, KK.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Thank you, everyone. A quorum has been established. I truly appreciate everyone's time and commitment to the board and California consumers. We have a very full meeting. We're going to be locked in here for a long time today. I ask everyone participating today to be respectful of the work before the board today. We encourage participation by members of the public throughout our meetings at appropriate times. The board respectfully requests that when comments are provided, they're done so in a professional manner, consistent with how the board conducts its business. And before we move to the next agenda item, I would like to remind members participating via WebEx to please remain visible on camera throughout the open portion of today's meeting. If you need to temporarily turn off your camera due to challenges with internet connectivity, please remember to announce the reason for your non-appearance when you turn off your camera. Okay, we're ready for agenda item 2, public comments on items not on the agenda items for future meetings. We will now accept public comment for items not on the agenda. You're not required to identify yourself, but you may do so. I would like to remind everyone that the board cannot take action on these items except to decide whether to place an item on a future agenda. Accordingly, if your comment pertains to an item on the agenda for this meeting, please make your comment during the public comment period specific to that agendized item. Members, following review of the public comments for this agenda item, I will ask members to comment on what, if any, items should be placed on a future agenda. As a reminder, this agenda item is not intended to be a discussion, rather an opportunity for members of the board and members of the public to request consideration of an item for future placement on an agenda, at which time discussion may occur. We'll begin with public comment for items not on the agenda from individuals participating in person in Sacramento. If you could come up to the podium there, please, if you have any comments.
Good morning. I'm Steve Rosati. I'm a pharmacist from Hollister, and I'm here today to urge the board to address a critical safety gap regarding auxiliary labeling for prescription labels. I make these comments not only from a pharmacist and healthcare provider's point of view, but as a consumer. In 2009, the Board of Pharmacy made incredible strides in patient safety through establishing the patient-centered label improvements to Title 16, Section 1707.5. However, the vital safety warnings on auxiliary labeling or the auxiliary labels like take with food, do not drive, finish all medication, do not use other eye drops within so many minutes of the medication. They weren't addressed back in 2009 and have been completely left behind. I did bring some examples. Unfortunately, I couldn't include it with the pack of information because they were so bad, they wouldn't copy. So anyway, I just brought it in case you want to take a look at it. Currently, these health improving warnings are entirely unstandardized on labels. Many pharmacies routinely print them in microscopic 2 to 4 font sized print, compressed lettering, and unbolded text, making them hard to read, and tape isn't always used to cover the label, so the printing is rubbed off easily, making it impossible to see. These warnings do become practically invisible, which is evident from the examples I brought from my personal vials from home. Current system relies entirely on pharmacy level formatting choices on the labels. And these improvements for auxiliary labeling for 17 years have not really occurred with auxiliary labeling. Just as the successful labeling changes took place in 2009 to protect the public, I respectfully request the board initiate the same process today to begin providing similar legibility standards to auxiliary labeling. These would be things like providing a minimum 6-point sans serif font size, not using compressed lettering, use bold printing. The labels will benefit from the board not allowing unnecessary information on the labels, such as DEA numbers, advertising, patient physician addresses, which only muddies the water and makes it difficult for people with seeing problems or reduced eye level vision. I also just wanted to state that I believe it's important enough for the board to maybe
In
have a,
seconds.
just to make a special point of them to check labeling when they're during the inspections to see how visible the auxiliary labeling is. So thank you for your time and continuing commitment for patient safety.
Thank you for the comments, Mr. Rosati. Dr. Rosati? Doctor? Mr.?
Pharmacist Rosati.
Thank you, sir.
I'm from the old school.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other in-person comments in Sacramento? Seeing none, we're ready for WebEx.
This is the
I'm
moderator.
sorry, I'm distracted. Thank you for bringing this. Love looking at these real world examples. Sorry, and then I love that you have this huge, just magnifying glass here. So I'm distracted. I apologize.
This is the moderator. If you would like to make a comment in this agenda item, you may look for the raise hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. If you're a calling public member, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. See no comments, our agenda 4, back to you.
Thank you, moderator. Here you go, Jesse. I'm sorry. You're going to be distracted now. And then Ricardo. Okay. Members, do we have any comments after the public comment? Anybody?
I just want to echo what the commenter said. I mean, I've known this for a long time, obviously being in retail, but having these bottles in front of me really just emphasizes that. I mean, these are tiny
Yeah,
letters,
yeah.
and it's some of the most important part of medication labeling is the warning labels, and it's nearly impossible to read, honestly.
Thank you. Any members? All right. We'll definitely consider this. And thank you, Mr.
I was just going to echo what Jesse said. I really appreciate, that kind of information for us to be able to assist with patient safety when not everybody is able to have the consult, that you should have something that you could read that gives you tips on appropriate use and safety.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll definitely consider, and thank you, Mr. Rosati, for bringing that and bringing your own, looks like that's your own medication. So thank you for sharing.
One thing I do want to add to that too is that
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. We really can't have a discussion on
Okay.
this right now, so it's just, add items to the future.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
So
you.
have we confirmed we will add that for future agenda?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure out which committee and
you.
then go from there. Most likely, probably licensing, but we'll have to figure that out. Maybe Nicole's committee. I just keep adding work to that too. So we'll figure that out internally and go from there. All right. Thank you so much. And we're ready to move on to the next agenda item 3, recognition and celebration of pharmacists licensed in California for 40 years. The board's recognition of pharmacists licensed in California for 40 years or more is posted on our website, and pharmacists are provided with a certificate when they reach a significant milestone. Do we have any pharmacists in the meeting location or in the WebEx who have been a pharmacist for 40 years or more? Ah, you should be recognized. Come on up just to say few words of wisdom other than this, we just, and you don't have to, but you just, oh, sure. Yeah.
I'll just say our training in the old days is just as important then as it is today. And we don't forget, and I just appreciate the opportunity to,
This side.
Oh.
This side, we're gonna take a picture.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. And here's your hand. There you go. Oh. Thank you for coming, sir. Here's the pin.
Congratulations.
There you go. Thank you so much.
okay. Anyway, I appreciate you letting the public speak and give our 2 cents. Thank you.
Yay. All right. Anyone in WebEx?
As a moderator, if you would like, raise your hand. If you have been in the pharmacy more than 40 years, please click on the raise hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. Raise hand. I turn the floor back to you, President Dole.
Thank you so much, moderator. Okay, thank you to all.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations also coming from Hollister here too. So
Nice. Thank you. All righty. Thank you so much to all the pharmacists who's been a pharmacist for 40 years of service to California, and all the pharmacists and all the healthcare professionals out there. Thank you for all you do. Next is moving on to agenda item 4, discussion of and possible action to approve meeting minutes. Included in the meeting materials are draft minutes for 2 meetings. We'll begin with the April 29th through 30th, 2026 board meeting. Members, I welcome your comments on the draft minutes, and I will also entertain a motion to approve the April 29th through 30th, 2026 meeting minutes. Members?
This is Jesse. I move to approve the April 29th through 30th, 2026 board meeting minutes as presented in the meeting materials.
Thank you, Jesse. Do we have second?
I'll second.
Thank you,
Yes, second.
Jeff. Oh, sorry. Thank you, KK. Thank you. Thanks for coming, KK, despite your signet illness. I appreciate your time, and thank you, guys. All right, so we are ready for public comment in Sacramento. We're ready for public comment in WebEx.
Hi, this is the moderator. If you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, you can refer to this in icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And if you are calling public member, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We are displaying instructions and we give you a moment. See no comments, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, moderator. We are ready for vote. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette is not here. Jeff?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. KK?
Yes.
Thank you, KK. Claudia?
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia. Jay?
Yes.
Thank you, Jay. Ricardo?
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Satinder?
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder. Maria?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Motion passes. Moving to the next minutes for our review, which are draft minutes from May 19th, 2026 Disciplinary Petition Committee meeting. I welcome your comments on the draft minutes, and I also entertain a motion to approve the May 19th, 2026 minutes. Members, we have a motion. Any comments?
This is Nicole. I'll motion to approve the May 19th, 2026 Disciplinary Petition Committee meeting minutes as presented in the meeting materials.
Thank you, Nicole. Do we have a second? Anyone? Second? Hello?
Second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ricardo. All righty, we're ready for public comment in Sacramento. Ready for public comment in WebEx?
Hey, this is the moderator. If you would like to make a comment on the motion, you may look for the raise hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And if you are called to public comment, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. Seeing no raised hands, I return the floor back to you, President Joel.
Thank you so much. We are ready for vote. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jesse. Renee?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette. Is not here.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Here, yes.
Thank you, KK.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Motion passes. All right, next agenda item 5, report by the California Department of Consumers. I would like to welcome Miss Judy Bucciarelli. Woo! Bucciarelli, spelled Bucciarelli, Board and Bureau Relations with the Department of Consumer Affairs to provide an update from the department. Thank you for coming today, Miss Bucciarelli. The floor is yours.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone can hear me okay? First time presenting from the podium.
Now you have to give a speech. I'm just kidding.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, board members and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to provide the DCA update this morning. My first update is regarding agency. The secretary announcement on May 12th, Governor Newsom announced the appointment of Rohit Chopra as Secretary of California's new Business and Consumer Services Agency, which officially launches on July 1. Secretary Chopra previously served as Director of the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and as Commissioner of the Federal Trade Commission, where he led major efforts to crack down on junk fees, corporate misconduct, and unfair practices harming consumers and small businesses. We are excited to welcome Secretary Chopra and look forward to carrying out our consumer protection mission under his leadership. We will continue to keep Board and Bureau leadership informed about the upcoming agency reorganization. Next, I have a return to office update for staff. DCA, along with other state departments, will transition back to 4 days a week in office beginning July 1, consistent with the governor's executive order, which was originally to take effect on July 1, 2025. DCA issued a department-wide email with guidance surrounding telework agreements. As we prepare for this transition, DCA would like to recognize board leadership's efforts and partnership as we work together to support staff. And last, I have a few training updates. The first one is for board member orientation training, and this applies to people who are newly appointed or reappointed members on the board. Board member orientation training, also known as BMOT, will take place today and on October 21st. BMOT is an all-day virtual training which must be completed by board members within 1 year of appointment and reappointment to the board. Please register for the first available date to be in compliance. The next training is defensive driver training, and this will apply to you if you use your personal vehicle on state business, back and forth to board meetings, what have you. On May 26, DCA launched its internal defensive driver training and now available in the department's learning management system, also known as LMS. This training is mandatory for state employees, including board and bureau members who operate vehicles on official state business. So with that, I'm going to say this also applies when you're renting vehicles. So I guess this is a mandatory training for everybody, for all board members and Bureau. If you have any questions on accessing LMS, or if you would like to check or make sure you are in compliance with mandated training requirements, please contact us at memberrelations@dca.ca.gov. In closing, and on behalf of the department, I would like to thank you for your service and dedication to protect the consumers of California. And at this time, I'll turn the meeting back to President O, and I am happy to answer any questions from the.
Thank you, Ms. Bucciarelli. I'm sure everybody did defensive driver course. It's very fun. I think it's worth all your time. I learned a lot, actually, believe it or not. So I think everybody should do it. Any member comments for Ms. Bucciarelli?
Thank you for being here this morning. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And then we're ready for public comment in Sacramento. Ready for public comment in WebEx?
This is the moderator. If you would like to make a comment on the DCA update, you may look for the raise hand icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And if you're a call-in public member, you may press *3 to raise your hand. We are displaying instructions, and we'll give you a moment. Any comments? I turn the floor back to you, President Joy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Bucciarelli. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming. Okay, members, here we go. Next agenda 6 is discussion and development of and possible action to approve board strategic plan for 2027 through 2031. As you may recall, during the board's January 26 through 27, 2026 board meeting, we received a presentation from the California Department of Consumer Affairs providing an introduction on the strategic planning process we're undertaking today. As a precursor to our work today, the department's Solid Planning Solutions Unit conducted an environmental scan. The meeting materials include the results of the environmental scan. Before I turn the meeting over to Solid, I would like to sincerely thank everyone, stakeholders, board staff, and board members for participating in the survey that served as a foundation for our discussion today. And basically everybody. And thank you to Sarah and Tricia for all your work to prepare for our discussion today. And we look forward to guiding us through the process. And if you guys didn't realize, Sarah and Tricia are usually moderators for our meetings. And they're here today in different capacity to walk us through this fun process. This could take 5 hours. This could take 30 minutes. We'll see where we land. It's up to you all. Thank you.
All right, give me one moment while I get the presentation going. All right. And unfortunately, with WebEx, I usually have multiple screens, but today I only have one. So my screen's a little crowded. But welcome to the strategic planning session for the Board of Pharmacy. Is it presenting? Okay, yes, it is.
Members, can everyone see it okay on your screens? And then for people in the room, there are a couple of monitors as well.
Great. All right, so I'm Sarah Irani. I am a strategic business analyst and facilitator with Solid. You've probably heard me on some of the WebEx meetings, and I've also done interviews with a couple of you for the strategic planning process. I also have my co-facilitator with me.
Tricia St. Clair, also strategic business analyst and facilitator with Solid.
So our role today is we're a neutral party. We don't represent, the board. We don't represent the consumers. We're just a neutral party providing information. We're just providing structure and documenting the discussion today. We do ask while we're talking today that, we'll just check for understanding, and we're not going to try wordsmithing today. We're going to do spelling and grammar later. If we wordsmith today, we'll be here all day. So we're mostly just going to be capturing concepts and brainstorming. This is like a first draft. This isn't the final product. We do ask that you try to minimize distractions. Please silence your cell phone. Try not to check too many emails. We do ask that everyone try to contribute. And the other thing that we also ask is that people try to reach a consensus. Sometimes there's like, a lot of back and forth. And usually what we ask is that if there's a lot of discussion on something, ask yourself, is this something that I can live with? And if so, then, we'll take that and just kind of move on. All right. So we do have a bit of a packed agenda today for strategic planning. We're going to review diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. We'll review the strategic planning process. Very briefly go over the environmental scan, which you should have gotten with your board member packets. And then we'll be developing strategic objectives. We did do some pre-work with the EO and the board president. So there is some stuff kind of already created that we'll kind of review and make sure that these are items that we do want included in the strategic plan. So not too much for development. We've done a lot of the pre-work already.
I have a question
Yes.
regarding the process, because I think I asked this question last time that we did this. When or how is the current plan looked at to see which things we want to carry over? Rather than, today I think we're talking about new information from the scan, the environmental scan. But there's really ongoing work going on current goals. And so I just want to make sure we have some time to talk about which ones should continue.
We can do that. So typically with strategic planning, you usually don't want to carry information over because your last strategic plan was, was it 4 years or 5 years?
5
5 years.
But
Okay,
also, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So as part of our develop objectives, Maria, anything can still be, in my opinion.
But we don't have that readily available. I mean, I could look up because I'm more involved with the enforcement and compounding. So I know what my 10 objectives were there, and there are probably like 3 or 4 that are really
Still
important.
relevant.
Yes, and I'm sure every committee has the same thing. So I think at some point it'd really be nice to be able to have a side-by-side compare and say, oh, these 2 things really should flip over.
So that's
my question about
I'm gonna let
process.
Sarah address that part.
Yeah.
Because I asked the same question during the meeting. So go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, because I think I asked it the last time we did this too, because it's, I am afraid that we're going to lose momentum on work that's ongoing.
So we typically recommend not carrying items over just because it is, most of the time, for like other clients and stuff, the information that you want to be working with is current information and your strategic plan is older information. However, I will put a caveat with the compounding stuff since it's so new and there's so many things that you want to continue on. I have a feeling that maybe there might, while we're discussing today, maybe there are some items that you still want to carry over, in which case that will probably be okay.
Yeah, I just was, because I'm just a process question. So I'm just hoping that at some time during this process that you're walking us through, that we could have a side-by-side compare. So, when we're looking at a draft, that we actually compare last year's and go, oh, look, these 3 things over here didn't make it into the draft. Let's move them over. So as long as that's somewhere in the process for us, I'd appreciate that.
Unfortunately, not today.
No, I understand. Today we're working on new stuff.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But I just put a pin in it because I just don't want to lose that because, there's
and I'll work,
some history.
I'll work offline with Ann on that.
Thank you.
What I would recommend also, Maria, is that I know that I don't want to create so many distraction, but confession, I have the old one pulled up. So
Yeah, so it would be nice to have that in the meeting materials so we could look at it. I can find my copy too.
they purposely didn't want us to,
Mine,
just because this is a new, we're creating a kind of a new baby mind.
yeah. Well, the emphasis on the new materials. I understand that. That's where the emphasis should be.
But
when I
what-
get to my section, I will
What I
make
was
sure I
gonna-
have my part of.
What I was gonna say is that any objectives we've had in the last round can be reborn into the issues that are kind of intersecting with what's highlighted, because there are a lot of objectives, and you'll see from the preliminary slides that we have kind of come up with that some of them are kind of carrying over in a new way. So totally understand your concern.
And if you do have the old strategic plan in front of you while we're working shopping today, and you want to carry something over, just let me know the number. I'll write it down and then I'll go look it up after the meeting today. Just because I want to make sure we get through everything. I don't want to hold you here the entire day. All right. So we'll be doing a quick diversity, equity, and inclusion accessibility overview. As part of the governor's order N1622, Governor Newsom asked for state agencies to consider equity in policies and decisions, and part of that includes strategic planning. This was issued in 2022. Department of Consumer Affairs issued a DEIA steering committee in 2022. And the steering committee's mission statement is to create a California Department of Consumer Affairs for all. And so what we've been kind of doing in response to the executive order is we've been including diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility questions at the end of the strategic planning survey that goes out to stakeholders. We also have an optional demographics question that stakeholders can answer. And that's also in your environmental scan if you kind of want to look at some of the demographics for what your stakeholders responded. Additionally, what we also do is we allow public comment during the strategic planning process, and we also get input from a diverse set of stakeholders in the environmental scan portion. So those are some of the things that we've been doing for DEIA. And I've been saying the acronym DEIA a lot, but just as a refresher for anyone, we're going to define the definition of that acronym. The D stands for diversity, and this is the inherent and acquired qualities, characteristics, and experiences that make us unique as individuals and the groups to which we belong. E is equity. This is creating paths to equal outcomes by recognizing that some people and communities have unequal starting points driven by different histories, historical treatment, circumstances, strengths, and needs. Inclusion, this is the practice to maintain a positive environment where all individuals feel recognized, understood, and valued. And lastly, we have accessibility. And this is designing systems, environments, and experiences so that people of all abilities can access and engage with them, including people with disabilities. Oftentimes, while we're going through the DIA process, people often confuse equality and equity with each other, but they are two different things. Equality is providing the same equal treatment to everyone, whereas equity is creating pathways to equal outcomes. And you can kind of see that in this visual here on the slide. On the left-hand side, we have everyone's given the same little podium to watch the soccer game or football if you're in the UK. And because they're given each the same size podium, it doesn't necessarily meet everyone's needs. It's way too much for the person on the left, and on the right, the person on the right still can't even see over the fence. However, when equity is applied, everyone's given a podium to meet their own individual needs, and they can all see and watch the game together. All right, so next we have a short 3-minute video on unconscious bias. And unconscious bias is something that we all just inherently have, but it is something that we can mitigate. And this video kind of goes over how we can try to mitigate this unconscious bias. And I'm hoping the video plays the audio. It's a little quiet in the beginning, but I'm gonna go ahead and click it now.
The unconscious mind is amazing. It can process vastly more information than our conscious mind by using shortcuts based on our background, cultural environment, and personal experiences to make almost instantaneous decisions about everything around us. The snag is, it's wrong quite a lot of the time, especially on matters that need rational thinking. Here's a classic example. A bat and a ball cost £1.10. If the bat costs £1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? Most people, including over 50% of students at some of the world's leading universities, get the answer wrong and say 10 pence. The answer is actually 5 pence. Many of us choose 10 pence without thinking. This is because our unconscious mind uses instinct, not analysis. So our unconscious is fallible. It's also biased. It makes snap judgments of people we meet, categorizing them according to gender, social and other characteristics. In milliseconds, we judge whether somebody is like us and belongs to our in-group. These are the people we favor. So men might favor men, while women might favor women. However, we can belong to different in-groups, and we like to be part of an in-group that's powerful, which could mean a woman favoring a man over a woman. That's unconscious bias. All of us have it, and it colors our decisions without our realizing. For example, research reveals that if I were a man, you would be more likely to be nodding in agreement right now because people pay more attention to a male voice. The Royal Society fosters excellence in science, but this can only be achieved if we select from the widest range of talent. And that's not possible if unconscious bias is narrowing down the field for non-scientific reasons. To lessen the impact of unconscious bias, which is easier for us to notice in others, we are raising the awareness of unconscious bias to members of our selection and appointment panels. We're encouraging panel members to deliberately slow down decision-making, reconsider reasons for decisions, question cultural stereotypes, and monitor each other for unconscious bias. We can't cure unconscious bias, but with self-awareness, we can address it.
All right, and then we just have a slide, just kind of go over those points that they made at the very end about managing unconscious bias. Just because they kind of sneak it in at the very end, it goes by fast. But just some of the things you can do to manage unconscious bias: deliberately slow down decision-making, reconsider reasons for decision, question cultural stereotypes, and monitor each other for unconscious bias. All right. While we're going through the diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility process in the environmental scan, we've noticed we often get pushback. And typically this is either due to misinformation or just not understanding exactly what DIA is. So we're just going to dispel some of the common myths that we've encountered in DIA. Our first one is that DIA, our first myth is DIA is only about race and gender and excludes certain people, specifically white men. So we have about 20 different things that make up who we are. They can be, the language you speak or where you grew up. And when DIA is authentically implemented, we're considering all of those things. We are more than just our race and gender. And there's supposed to be no inclusion or exclusion. Oh, I skipped a slide. There we go. Our second myth is that DIA is a zero-sum divisive game to create winners and losers. DIA is a growth mindset. And so when it is authentically implemented, we are creating more opportunities for everyone. To think that someone, in order to gain, someone else must lose is based on a destructive mindset. And with DIA being implemented, this is not the case. And then our last myth is DIA means recruiting unqualified people. And this is based around a destructive trend where people were making tokenized hiring decisions. However, DIA is about casting a wider net for people who, may have not even thought to try to apply for something just because they didn't, realize it was something that they could do. So to think that there are no qualified candidates in a position is just incorrect. All right. And on top of that, there are also many other benefits to implementing DIA, and we have a couple statistics here. When DIA is implemented, and when employees believe that their organization is committed to diversity, they feel included and innovation increases by 83%. Teams that follow inclusive processes make decisions 2 times faster and in half as many meetings. So hopefully today we can complete stuff faster. Additionally, companies with more diverse and inclusive teams have a 22% lower turnover rate than those without. So as you can see, the statistics kind of speak for themselves when it comes to implementing DEIA. In addition, we are implementing this because of the governor's executive order as well. So when it comes to the strategic planning process, while we're kind of like reviewing things, a couple things you may want to ask yourself. When we are looking at a proposal, we may want to assess for diversity, make sure that everyone is kind of included. Who benefits from a decision? And here we want to assess for inclusion. Who may be burdened? And here we want to assess for equity, and what different needs are there. And here we'll assess for accessibility. A couple examples, and this is not specifically for this board, but just kind of generally for all our clients. Sometimes when a new exam is being proposed, you may need to, some people need to consider, okay, is this only available in Northern California? Will it affect people in Southern California? Or if licensing fees are going up, is that a burden to licensees? So just a couple things to kind of keep in mind. All right. And here we'll do a quick little icebreaker just to kind of get everyone's minds refreshed. What do you, we're gonna do a little word association thing. And what do you think of when you hear the word strategic? And typically I would have you write on something, but I want to be inclusive of our online board members. So I'm just gonna have you either raise your hand or just kind of speak out on what you think of when you hear the word strategic.
Don't be shy. There's no wrong answers.
Not all at once.
I was thinking a positive outcome.
Go ahead. What was that, Claudia? Oh, sorry.
Oh, positive outcome? That was my first.
Positive outcomes?
Something that is well thought out.
Something that's targeted and orchestrated for a specific purpose.
All right.
Kind of the same thing.
All right, all really good answers. What Trisha and I like to do is we kind of like to think of strategic planning as a roadmap or, like a guide that kind of tell you exactly, where we are now, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. And strategic planning is answers these 3 questions with the, your mission, vision, and values, the environmental scan, your goals and objectives, and then lastly, the action plan. You can also kind of think of your strategic plan as like a house where your mission, values, and vision are the foundation of your organization. They're not going to change very often. It basically tells you exactly who you are as an organization. Whereas your goals, which are your day-to-day functions, licensing, compliance, legislation, regulation, these are like the walls of your house that kind of create structure for your organization. And then your objectives, which are what we're going to be developing today in the strategic plan, are like curtains, your furniture, you switch them out every 3 to 5 years, the length of your strategic plan.
People switch curtains every 3 to 5 years now? I don't think so.
I mean, I do. Well, I guess I just moved, so yes. But for some people, they, switch out furniture often, especially with how, quickly they degrade nowadays. But your objectives are kind of, things that are going to change out more often based on new information. This mouse is just very eager to get through stuff because I feel like I'm clicking once and it's clicking twice. All right. This is your current mission statement. And your mission statement tells you exactly, who you are as an organization and what you do. And we do have a slight change from this current one, and I'm going to put up the slide that has them back to back together so you can see. So on the left-hand side here, we have our current mission statement, which is the California State Board of Pharmacy protects, promotes, and advocates for the health and safety of Californians by pursuing the highest quality of pharmacist care and the appropriate use of pharmaceuticals through education, communication, licensing, legislation, regulation, and enforcement. Made a few tweaks on the right-hand side for a suggested mission statement, which is to say, protect, promote, and advocate for the health and safety of all Californians by pursuing high-quality pharmacist care and the appropriate use of medication through education, communication, licensing, legislation, regulation, and compliance. How do we feel about this suggested mission statement? Does it seem a little bit more streamlined?
Yeah, it just seems more digestible and easy to even repeat back.
I like the word compliance. It's a nicer word, but I wanted to have maybe some discussion about the use of the word medication, because I think I'm a pharmacist, so as a pharmacist, we've also often struggled with the scope. Pharmaceuticals was in the old one, medication is there. Sometimes people use drugs, they use all sorts of, what you call them, synonyms. And so I'm not quite sure which the best synonym is for that concept.
And the hope was to move forward from pharmaceuticals and to come up with something else that is.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should be, but it'd be interesting to have maybe when there's public comment, they can also comment on that word at some point when we review it in more. I know right now we're just brainstorming. I'm just hoping that medications is not too narrow, because some people don't think of natural products or normal saline, for example, as a medication, and kind of definitions.
Can we get
And
some
this
help
is-
from our lawyers, maybe? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, I just wanted to say, like, I feel like with our standard of care and the broad scope of what it means for high quality pharmacist care, that we don't use the term, like maybe strike and the appropriate use of medication, just by pursuing high quality pharmacist care through education, communication, licensing. I mean, I don't know if we would add another activity in there, but like, I don't know. I mean, certainly pharmacists are known for medications, but at this point, there's a expanded look, like higher. So I don't know if that does limit it. See what anybody else thinks.
So Renee, you're thinking maybe strike out and the appropriate use of medication? Strike it out?
Yes. I don't know what anybody else thoughts.
I would agree with that. I was going down the same route, knowing that we are transitioning to standard of care. The scope has expanded so much and it will continue to expand, I imagine. And so I think that's pretty concise, and I think it captures basically the future of pharmacy as well.
The only thing that I'm a little concerned is that it's not just a pharmacist that's providing care. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm a little
Yeah.
bit.
That was going to be another thought was,
Yeah.
we do have technicians, so.
So how do we encompass that?
me-
What?
Could it be pharmacy care? And I'm agreeing with that strikeout part because we want to keep the definitions broad enough to have not just the medicine, but possibility of using some equipment in providing that care, like inhaler or solutions or nebulizing solutions, and plain old pharmacist's advice on drug-drug interactions and not. So keeping something broad like pharmacy care, and that will take care of both the licensee part type, pharmacist and technician.
Thoughts,
I
members?
guess like So I am on the licensing, pharmacy is a licensed facility. I feel like that's maybe not quite the word we want because it's the individual
People.
care and people, and it is our pharmacists. I agree, technicians, how to, if we incorporate that. But I just feel like if we say pharmacy, that is not quite right.
So we're not the first to have this discussion, so I think it's often beneficial to look at other organizations and what words that they use. So I'm just going to read some of the words that I've seen is pharmacy practice advancement and improved patient care. The other one is, it talks about enhanced medication management, and then it talks about quality medications and pharmacy services for all patients. So those are just a few that other organizations have used to reach this concept. And I think we should be broad and look at, because lots of people have spent many, many hours discussing this exact issue. We're not going to solve it in 2 minutes.
I appreciate that input, Maria. I actually like high quality pharmacy. What did we say? Pharmacy practice, maybe
So
by pursuing high quality pharmacy practice, strike out the appropriate use of medication.
I think we should keep pharmacist care somehow, though.
So the one that talks to Jesse is, and it actually falls into like the standard of care too, because the comment is pharmacy practice advancement and improved patient care. Which kind of, I automatically thought about standard of care, but that's, I think, a link that would be nice to have be intuitive there too.
I know Trisha, sorry, Sarah, whichever's typing like madly over there trying to capture what we're talking. Where are we at now?
So I made a duplicate slide and I copied the suggested one and have it over here and added pursuing high pharmacy practice, advancement, and improved patient care through education, communication, et cetera.
High pharmacy practice.
See, instead of high pharmacy practice is pharmacy practice advancement is probably not the right word because then they think about roles and scope.
Yeah.
That's not the right word. But yeah, now I'm stuck then. Because we don't want to imply anything that we're not trying to imply.
I think the pharmacist care should stay in there because with our standard of care, our emphasis was really trying to make it more about the pharmacist practice and what they get to do, decoupling from pharmacy. So that's my hope here with that. Adding on to that is fine, but I think we need to keep high quality pharmacist care and maybe something else.
Yeah, I think high quality care should be in there. It just, yeah.
So just
Here, the last bullet point down here that is something to consider is, we're talking about a lot about medication importation and safety and so quality medications and pharmacy services for all patients. So that implies quality of the product and quality of the service.
Oh, that's a great suggestion, Maria. Yeah.
Do you mind repeating that one again?
It's well, and also says in this, I'm just reading for online, looking at other people's, it says access
We can't
to quality
plagiarize, just kidding.
medications and pharmacy services. So that word adds another dimension. Access to quality medications and pharmacy services for all patients. That sounds like mom and apple pie.
Those quality medications and
Pharmacy service.
pharmacy services. Thank you. For all patients.
I think all Californians is already in there.
Oh, that is.
Let's see
Okay,
if I can
let's
take
think
that
through
paper help.
after she writes it out.
We don't have the word pharmacist in there or pharmacy.
What's that, Renee?
We have pharmacies, I guess, services. Okay.
Oh,
So I'm still hesitant on the pharmacist care piece.
Oh.
I mean, even just knowing, technicians can administer immunizations now, their scope may change as well. And pharmacists aren't the only ones providing care.
yes.
So I lean more towards like a pharmacy service type thing versus a pharmacist care.
Okay. And you gotta speak up. You're a magician of words, as you know. Why are you saying silent? Come on, chime in, please, Miss Sodogran.
So potentially instead of pharmacy, potentially pharmacist and pharmacy personnel?
I like that, but
So I'm also looking at some of the discussions we've had in different committees that are not people related. And I'm not saying that we are necessarily trying to take the people out of pharmacy, but some of the things we even have on our agenda about APDS locations and technology and those kinds of things. So those are more than the personnel. I would like to have something a little bit more broad or even additive than to make it just that we're not just about medication safety and people. We're about the system, the process, I guess.
all right. So I think I need a little help because there's a lot of different thoughts going on. And okay, so let's just kind of reset and go from okay, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, it's getting a little
Do you think it would be helpful to open it for public comment and get some feedback and then reconvene as a board?
so we decided to just because of for the
Oh.
purposes of
Time.
time and the way that things we were gonna do that at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
You should just.
I got a question. Can I have a question before we go?
Oh, yeah.
So the way this is written right now, and first, am I correct that a pharmacist can administer a vaccine, for example?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm reading, it says access to quality medications, but it doesn't have anything about administration of anything. So if we use a word like care to kind of engulf the whole thing, it seems like it'd be less restrictive.
Quality care,
Let me read it again. Hold on.
quality care.
Quality care and pharmacy personnel. Yeah. Yes.
I think if we took out the pharmacist and pharmacy
Yeah.
personnel and just leave it as quality care through education, communication, et cetera, I think this might be good.
It doesn't say what kind of care. I mean, we're not going to try to do physician. I mean, it has a lot to do with how this is going to be interpreted about scope also.
Well, I think that's covered by us being board of pharmacy, don't you think? Hopefully. I mean, we're not gonna be like storming down on, medical board. Just be like,
Well, how do you define care?
well, that's by design, I think, to be broad, isn't it? Just so that it encompasses everything.
we'll see.
Medications, people, pharmacy care, technicians working.
You do kind of want your mission statement to be a little bit of like an elevator pitch. Like you can,
Are we going up to 100th floor? or 5th floor.
This is the first floor, from floor 2 to floor 1.
And speak up. What were you gonna say? You were gonna say something. Okay. Our magician of the words.
Yeah, as a public board member, as I read it more like an elevator pitching for the public, it just seems very like we're very approachable. And it
We
does,
are or we're not,
it
Claudia.
seems like we are approachable. And to me,
Okay.
it seems like as a public board member and thinking about the general public that it's clear what we do. Those are just my thoughts. the language is straightforward, but very focused and simple at the same time.
Okay, let's read it one more time because
I feel like this is a broad enough to really, it does encompass what so far the discussion's been. I think adding that quality care to education, quality care encompasses, I think, administering
right?
or, you know, I think it's broad
immunization,
enough.
medications over the
Yes.
counter. Yes.
I
What-
feel like pursuing access is not the phrase. I don't know what pursuing. Oh, okay.
Oh, I think access was supposed to not be there then after this,
Mm.
right?
I think we're all about access.
Yeah.
Access, quality, safety.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot.
By accessing, just simply by accessing quality.
No, not accessing, but having access
Oh.
to
I see.
both medications and services. You know,
Or creating access.
you could have the best service in the world, but it's only for the top 1%. That's not our goal.
Yeah, get rid of pursuing.
Facilitating.
Enhancing.
Oh, that's a good word.
What do we feel about supporting access?
I like enhancing a little better
Yeah,
because I
enhancing.
think
Yeah, I think
I think it,
enhancing was
like,
good.
access
it's more of a
is
reach.
something that evolves and we
Enhancing,
often have to change
advancing.
over time.
So
Yeah.
let's read. Protect, promote, and advocate for the health and safety. By the way, how long has this not been changed? Anne, my unofficial historian for the Board of Pharmacy. It's been a while, right? So look at us going up to the 100th floor of the Empire State Building here. So
With this, we only need 3 floors.
So, how do we feel about this? Kind of captures what we're going for?
just one sec. Let's just all read through one more time.
Yeah.
Health and
And this is
safety.
just the draft, right? So we can always revisit, but this feels good. for me.
Yes.
Depending on the approach we take today at the end of the meeting, this could be basically like kind of, yeah, but we could also, if you all want to review, we could take that approach after on another meeting. Protect, promote, and advocate for the health and safety of all Californians by enhancing access to quality care through education.
How do we feel about adding, I like quality care, but quality pharmacy care or quality pharmaceutical care so that we keep the word pharmacy in there somewhere? Because right now doesn't say anything about pharmacy.
I agree, but I would not use the word pharmaceutical. That's
Yeah.
so,
That's an industry kind of word.
but that's also so passé. That's kind of like so 30 years ago.
So the reason why this was suggested change was just because of the word pharmaceutical. So we cannot, I don't want to bring that back.
Sure, I think pharmacy works well.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's better.
All right. In that case, I'm going to highlight this green so it's mostly good. And if we're ready, we can move on to the values.
Ready?
And I apologize for our online board members. I can't see you on my screen.
I'm
so
monitoring.
please speak
I'm
up.
monitoring, yes. I'm
Okay, thank
monitoring
you.
for you, Sarah, yes.
All right.
All right.
So we'll move on to our values, and your values are basically, how, or things that you value as an organization and, things that you adopt in your day-to-day functions. So we did have one suggested edit, which was adding diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility as a value. How do we like this? Do we want to add any others or remove anything? Typically 5 is a good number of values to have. If you have too many, then people ask, do you actually value anything if you...
What about the idea of having the first value as public protection first?
Okay. And right now they're currently in alphabetical order. So if we, if we want a specific order, I'll make a note of that.
If you really want to feel strong about that being the first, Jeff, I will let my OCD be and just tolerate the letting be the awesome.
Is it all about alphabetical order? I mean, is that
you
what?
know, just the alphabetical order seems to be
Well, sorry.
I disagree.
I feel like values, like they're all equal.
yes. So
We shouldn't have
Wherever
one
it's at.
over
but
the
okay,
other.
Jay shaking his head,
we
so
do
maybe
tend to have
not.
alphabetized, but
Something from an online board member that was talking?
The Tinder.
Yeah, I think I agree with it that all are important. So
Okay, but it does sound like we want to add public protection as a value. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to,
Oh, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, I to be the disagreeable one, but I am a lot. I do agree that they're all important, but typically when the viewer sees something in order, sort of like symptoms or side effects, there's usually a hierarchy that's inherent to how we perceive things, regardless of whether or not they're equal. So in my mind, I would kind of go with Jeff's first instinct, which is we are a public protection agency. So listing public protection at the top seems like the sort of natural, inherent way to create something for the viewer to see that as the first priority. Everything else, I think, can be tied for first or whatever, but there's just two different, it's one thing for me to declare that these things are all the same. And it's another thing with everything else in our society having hierarchy of size, hierarchy of text, hierarchy of line weight. Like if I look at something that's bolded, it has a different hierarchy than something that's not, and then to pretend that doesn't exist in this instance.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is bolded just because of.
oh yeah,
Just because that's the new.
I'm not speaking to that directly.
Oh,
I'm speaking to anything. If you read a newspaper, there's a pull quote, and it's a pull quote for a reason. Anything that we look at, we just had a whole conversation about having information, which we would not say is hierarchically better or worse on a medication bottle that's in a 2.5. There's a reason that other things are bolded and that those things need to be at that level. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just saying from a viewer's perspective, at least in my mind, there's a natural inherent hierarchy, whether or not I want to say there is.
IOCD go, Jay. Yes. Okay.
I will add to that.
okay.
I honestly didn't even notice it was in alphabetical order until someone said something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually understand where Jay is coming from in that I wouldn't have noticed that.
So we're okay. Public protection being the first, and the rest just.
Can I
being-
jump in
Yeah, that's
first?
fine.
Okay,
Some on
Nicole.
that one? I don't think we should actually add public protection because public protection is what we do and values are how we do it. So it doesn't really fit. Everything else is we do it compassionately. We do
That's a
it
good
with
point.
integrity, and public protection isn't really the same thing. So I don't think it belongs here. I think it belongs in what we're talking about, but I don't think values is the place for it.
Interesting thought. Okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to hash that out, everybody.
Yeah, it didn't really strike me as a value. I think the values is like our deep core, of kind of how we want to be identified by the public as a legislative body, right? Enforcing licensing and these things. So how are we being perceived? Like, what are the things that define us? You know, for example, maybe you have some thoughts here, Nicole, but the word compassion, I read it, but how do we explain even the word compassion if that's what we do? So I think, you know, we can dive a little bit deeper into what we have and why they're there and maybe have that conversation really briefly.
Members.
As a license, like if somebody that's licensed, how do you, as a pharmacist, how do you practice compassion? Or are we talking more about the body, right? Like us.
Value.
Oh, it's us.
Us, right.
This organization.
Because
That kind of threw me for a second, the word compassion, but I think of that, it is something we do all the time when we are doing disciplinary activities, when we're doing inspections, when we're doing licensing, you know, people out of state. It seems like it's something that's a thread that runs through everything we do. At least what I hear from office staff and from leadership is that there's always you know, a component of, well, what does the law allow? And then what is the right thing to do and to try to make that work. So compassion, I thought, was a really good word. At first it threw me, but I understand it.
And
So it's-
empathy.
Yes, so empathy and compassion for the human element. So even though we're a licensing body, there's still an individual that we have to take into account in terms of
That I believe that's the reason why that's been there for a long time.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So what are we doing with public protection? I mean,
I think we need more time for that one because that was a great argument. on the other
You know, public protection is at the core of every decision we make. That is definitely a value. So
I think Nicole's, your point was it's so obvious, or so, is that what you kind of are thinking? And Jeff's
My
is,
my
okay.
understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that values is how we do it, not what we do. Public protection is what we do, and the value explains how we do it. So I think public protection goes in a different area. Maybe it goes under mission, maybe it goes somewhere else. But I
Purpose.
think those are two different things. But if I'm
Let's-
wrong, please correct me. But that was always my
Let's get
understanding
guidance
of
from our
values.
experts. So
Well,
Sarah, Tricia?
Can I just?
Does someone online want to speak? It sounded
Yeah,
like-
I think
okay,
just
yeah.
to Nicole's point, I think everything we have here kind of goes into public protection. I think it's almost like we reinstating all of our values listed here, because public protection is compassion, is integrity, is responsiveness, is transparency. I think those are my thoughts.
And this is Sarah. I would agree that like public protection, fits in your mission statement, and you do have, protect here in your mission statement, which, can be applied to public protection. So if you don't want to list it in your values, since like your values are kind of like, what you model as an organization. And kind of like board member Tebow mentioned, like how you do the things that you do. So really, I guess it's up to you if you do want to include it or not.
Oh, politically correct. It's okay. I'm really indifferent. So y'all have to decide here. I think
We have
I'm
to
okay
decide
with-
right now.
right now, Jay, right now.
I'm okay if we leave it in there or take it out.
Indifferent? Okay.
a value statement, and what I'm saying is how we behave and make decisions while pursuing our mission and vision. And I certainly believe that I'm not going to die on the hill for this. I'll just stop. I mean, as long as we are holding that as our core value, that public protection is number one. I mean, it says it in multiple guiding documents for this board.
Mm-hmm.
Public protection is paramount. Like, that's number one. We can't just assume that that's what we do, even though we know that that's what we do. If it doesn't belong here, it doesn't belong here. But I definitely see that there's value in stating that that's what we base all of our decisions on. And by showing it number one, it really shows that we believe in the DEIA, in that the people that are so stuck on their OCD that it has to be alphabetical, that's the number one thing that we do. So that's it. I'm not going to say anymore, but.
Yeah, and I think it was in full display during COVID when we had to make decisions in this board to protect the folks out there. We had to bypass stuff, we had to improvise and so forth, and it was all set to, protect the public. So I think it belongs in there.
I'm in agreement with the two of them. I think that you're making a really wise decision. And I also want to say there's if you're really breaking this down, if I was a company, like not the board, and I had to break it down, you break it down into sign and signal. So sign and signal sign is like what we say we do, and signal is how we do it, but they're both included when you go to the public with the values of a company. So like I'm on other boards, and on the other boards, we determine what the company's core values are, even though it is stated. And I think if it said purpose just above this, and then it had the safety thing, and then we did values right underneath it, it may be a little clearer. But for outward facing communication, it seems to me, and I could still just be wrong with this whole thing and just make a decent argument for it. But for outward communication, it feels like listing that sign and signal of So it's one thing to say that we stay open all night. It's another thing to say that we relentlessly have output, in which case it's implied that whatever is necessary to make something happen will happen. So what we're saying for our value is that everything is compared to this standard. Everything is compared to whether or not there's compassion, whether or not there's integrity, but most of all, whether or not we are actually protecting the public with the decisions that we're making. And it doesn't mean it can't be repeated in several places, though. If anything, if you're going to repeat anything in several places, it seems like that would be fair. And I don't want to die on the hill for this either. So
So it sounds like we may or may not include public protection in here. I'm gonna leave a note that we'll kind of circle back to that later.
I'm just gonna go through the members because I think that's
Okay.
fair. Just one sec. So Jesse, what do you think?
I could go either way. I'm honestly okay leaving it out. And the reason for that, just going through some of the documents, even preparing for this, we kind of know that public protection is first and foremost, but we don't only serve the public, we also serve licensees. So these other values of compassion, integrity, responsiveness, transparency, these are some things that even like the external stakeholders said that the board can improve on. So just in terms of like the values and the processes of how the board operates, I personally lean with having it off of there, but
Okay.
open to
Renee?
either way.
I think I pretty much second Jesse there in that it's, it's the DCA is consumer protection. The board is, and we have that word protect in the mission statement, at least as it is right now, or it has been, I think. So, and yeah, I just don't see it as like fitting into like a list of values the way these look.
Okay, Jeff, I know your answer.
You do.
Yeah, okay.
But I do remember that when I started on this board, we were in a very contentious process regarding, I'll just say compounded medications. And there was question about the integrity of the decisions that we were making regarding what was more important, even though we know our values are protecting the public, that was challenged. So I don't think it hurts to have it in there. And of course, like I'd mentioned already, I'm cool either way. That's just my thought.
Got it. KK? You could just say you don't care, KK. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody has a...
No, I do care, but I also agree with Nicole that public protection is what we do and not necessarily the value. So I would be okay if we strike it out from this particular list.
All right, Claudia?
I like how it stands right now, and I think we can move forward.
What was that, Claudia? Sorry, you sound a little soft.
Yeah, let me put my mic closer. I like the way it is now, and I think we're ready to move forward.
Okay, you're okay with no. Okay. Jay is yes. Okay, Jay. And then Ricardo? You're either way. Okay. And then Satinder?
I like it this way because I think protection is in our mission statement, and I agree with Nicole. So I think this is fine.
Okay, Maria? Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. And then Nicole is obviously no. So, right?
I would say if we want to include it, I would choose a synonym that more closely matches. I think right now what's bothering your OCD is bothering you about the
Oh, it's
the
okay. I'm
medical.
letting go of my
It's
OCD.
it's
Letting go.
it's bothering me that it's just not the same type of word. But I did recently do this at work, and protect the public is our mission. And our values are how we do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm being a stickler. But I won't I could support if we put it in, but at least make it like the same type of word so it matches.
It's okay.
That would help.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Your argument has seemed to want straw poll, so we're moving without it for now. So
All right.
I think that answers that question, and we're ready to move on.
Right. And also part of the where we are now is your environmental scan. This is a study on how your stakeholders, both internal and external, perceive the board's effectiveness in accomplishing its goals. So licensing, compliance, legislation, regulation, outreach. And it's also a response to the profession that a response to the profession it operates in and world trends. Where you are going is answered by your vision statement, and a vision statement you can kind of think of like as what is your perfect utopia. So if you completed everything you needed to do as a a board or an organization, what would you be? So here we have the vision statement: healthy Californians through quality pharmacist care. So if you did everything you did as a board and you don't need to exist anymore, this is what would be. How do we feel about this?
I think we're not matching up anymore because we changed our mission. So that's my only thing. But
And for me, when I heard even the word healthy Californians, it was a big load. Like, what does healthy really imply? And could that potentially backfire? I mean, in terms of like how people interpret health.
can you elaborate a little, Claudia?
Well, in terms of like, there, even though we're the pharmaceutical board, I mean, there's some members of the public that don't really want to take medications like synthetic medications or pharmaceuticals. So their vision of what is healthy might be different.
Oh, I actually understand because when we were doing this preliminary session, that's what I was trying to get to the word other than healthy, but I could not come up with it.
I can't think of a word right now. I'm open for discussion, but that was my first impression.
I think that's one that we had. Let's see.
So my questions to members is the quality pharmacist care, are we okay leaving that because we changed that to in our mission now it says pharmacy care. So that's the kind of
Yeah, I think we should be consistent and also not pull out one type of licensee category. I think we are looking also at more than people, we're looking at places too. So consistency.
okay.
Trisha had a suggestion, and I modded it a little bit. How do we feel about quality pharmacy care for all Californians? And it kind of reflects the mission statement a little bit.
I'm good with that, but members?
Yeah, I like it because it just paints the picture of what happens through this pharmacy care. So it's the word quality implies that from beginning to end, the consumer is being protected and getting good service.
All right.
Okay.
Are we good?
Sounds
This is a
good.
good breaking point. Good breaking point before we go to.
But do we want to take a break here?
Yes,
or-
we
okay,
have to take
sure.
a break, I believe. Right? Don't we? You guys are the
We
ones-
do, but I had it scheduled later.
Oh, like what time? I think because we're gonna do lunch like at 12:30. So
Yeah, actually, this time might be a good time to
Yeah.
take a break and
Yep.
recenter ourselves.
yes, because we're starting objectives next, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll take a 15-minute break. We'll come back at 10:45. Hey, Renee.
Present.
Thank you, Renee. Jeff.
I'm here.
Thanks, Jeff. KK.
Present, thank you.
Thank you, KK. Claudia.
Present.
Thank you, Claudia. Jay.
Present.
Thank you, Jay. Ricardo. Thank you, Ricardo. Satinder. Thank you, Maria. Oh, where is she? Oh, well, we'll just go on for now. Nicole.
Present.
And I am here. Corinne, we're clear because we did the motion early, right? To start. Okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and let's get us back on track to where we left off, Sarah and Trisha.
All right. So these are your current goal areas. And your goal areas are your day-to-day functions that you do as a board. We did have a couple changes to the goal area names. Oh, yes, I will get to those in just a moment. So we do have some suggested goal area names, specifically for goal area 2, instead of being enforcement and compounding, we have it changed to compliance and compounding. And then on goal area 4, we just changed it to communication education, and goal area 5 changed to organizational effectiveness instead of organizational development. And as we're going through each goal area, we can refine those a little bit more, but just those are just a heads up. All right. So when it comes to objectives, we want to typically have anywhere between 3 to 6 objectives per goal area. We do have some ones that were kind of pre-developed with the EO and the board president. So we're going to review those. If we have any additional ones to add, we can do that during this discussion as well. And just as a reminder, for the roles and responsibilities of the board, consumer protection is your mandate, and we want to make sure that we're balancing that with available resources, because your staff are going to be the ones who are executing the strategic plan. So you want to make sure that, we're hitting consumer protection, but also have the available resources to do those things you want to do in your strategic plan. Otherwise, staff will not be happy. All right. So what we'll do is we'll identify 3 to 6 objectives per goal area. We're going to try to prioritize the most important issues. We're going to talk about problem to solve and issue to address. And then for our in-person board members, I passed out these paddles for you. We're not doing an auction, unfortunately, but this is for you to indicate whether, if you hold up the green, you're ready to move on, you're done, let's move forward. If you hold up the red, which is the pause button, this is to indicate, hold on, I got something else to say, I want to discuss this item a little bit more. So we'll use these to kind of indicate, when you want to speak. For our online board members, I'm so sorry, I don't have an online version for this, but we do, Trisha does have the WebEx open on her screen, so we'll be monitoring you for if you raise your hand and you want to add something.
Why don't we have them raising their hand as the red thing for?
Okay, yeah, as a pause. And also, please do not hit each other with these.
Oh, can't promise that.
All right, so we are going to go for our first goal area, licensing. Here's the goal area description. The board promotes licensing standards to protect consumers and allow reasonable access to the profession. If you have the environmental scan in front of you, the summary is on pages 8 through 12. And to talk about some of the strengths that were identified in that environmental scan, people felt that the board had good communication, and they also highlighted staff, so staff were great. To talk about some of the areas for improvement, people mentioned slow processing times, licensing unit was understaffed, poor communication, slow response times, outdated licensing system, and the high cost of licensure. We also have a few items from the Sunset Review Report that we felt might apply or you might want to include in your strategic plan. And these are here. However, working with the EO and the board president in our early session, we identified some areas that we kind of already completed with the suggested objectives. And so these are the ones that I felt were already completed. So I'm going to show you what we created with the board president. And we have a second slide, but I'll give you a moment to read through these and, kind of determine if these are, ideas that we want to include in our strategic plan.
Anything you don't like, Anne came up with it. Anything you like, I came up with it. But just please keep that in mind as we proceed.
You're pointing to Anne. I'd like to expand number 3 because it seems like you're limiting it to individuals and businesses that are part of the supply chain. So I think individuals and businesses, not limited to that, are supply chain. I don't know what you would say, but making it a little bit more broad because it seems like it's too narrow. Otherwise,
Broader,
I thought that looked really
broader.
good. Broader, yeah.
As you were speaking, the word stakeholders came up. Is that the intention instead of supply chain?
I think stakeholder is really broad. I think
It
it
is
should
really
be a
broad, huh?
little bit less than that. I think it should be,
We're
well, I
talking
just
about
way
the-
to, what's that, Claudia?
No, the supply chain, so it means that we're focusing on those that are the supporting body of this ecosystem. the
Yeah,
supply
like
chain?
such
Okay.
as, pharmacies just to function, there's like software vendors
Oh, I
and
see.
online like prescription transmission vendors who controls like
Okay.
98% of the market and delivery drivers. I mean, that I think it's not that we're trying to overreach. It's just that there are some pain points to really ensure that the pharmacy and pharmacists and medications are coming through appropriately in a well-controlled manner. So we just want to look at it. That's the intent of number 3.
That sounds great.
I have a couple things. So clarification on the unlicensed activity. Is the supply chain part the only area of unlicensed activity that we want to take a look at? That's number 1. And if not, I think we need to expand on what we have currently. And then the second part for slow processing times under number 1, I think we need to change that second sentence where it says improve user experience. Just the way I read it, we should be providing some sort of solution or how to address it, but that doesn't really provide a solution. It's just the goal. The way that I read it is, of course, we want to improve user experience, but we don't specify how in that sentence.
I think I understand that. So how is kind of Bismart?
It seems like the business modernization is gonna
Oh my God,
be,
you guys flipped.
yeah, how you're gonna,
Okay. You guys moved.
implement that user experience.
That's the, I
Okay.
hope, does that make sense, Jesse?
That makes sense. So maybe we can rephrase it to say improve user experience and
Oh, and
communications
then
by the implementation.
just so everybody knows, this solution how to address issue part is not exactly how it's gonna be.
That's correct, yeah.
That this is the wordsmithing is not gonna be done by us. It's gonna be done by our solid team. So as long as you share your intent, I think they're gonna try to do our best to
Yeah.
capture that. And then on the 3, I think this is your alls to decide on if you want to expand, narrow. So share your thoughts.
Only comment I have is a business modernization. What is that involve?
Yeah, I had the same thought.
Sorry, Satinder. I'm gonna let Ann speak on that.
So business modernization is the process that we're going through right now to ultimately at the end replace our legacy application and licensing systems.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it's pertain to some sort of workflow, or is it actual some sort of technical solution?
It's just we're just getting a new car. Like we're not
Okay.
replacing like a little parts on a car. It's like we're trying to get a new car. So it's gonna be a whole new ways of probably not the best analogy with a car, but
No, I got it.
Renee?
Yeah, this is Renee. All right, so with slow processing times, I think that first sentence, that's great because that's addressing processing times. To me, that second sentence, improve user experience and communication, should be in poor communication. Like, there's poor communication. So like the communication there's various modalities, right? So some are the, face-to-face phone conversations, but also like how to communicate by user experience. Like our whole website is a user experience also, or calling.
Should we then just be 1 and 2 be basically one, same thing? Because
No.
it is related in some ways. I think the reason why the poor communication comes up is because of the application process. So they're kind of interlinked.
Okay, if we're looking at it that way, then yes, I would say they would be like possibly.
Because that's
combined.
usually why I think we got some negative feedback was
And then I do also see a hand from board member Tebow.
oh, go ahead, Nicole. Sorry.
Oh, I just raised it. Really quick, I know we're not meant to get like super specific into the operational pieces, but can I just call out having something where people can like text or chat? I think having to call is really burdensome and just kind of not the standard anymore. So exploring something in that realm.
And that is part of also, I would hope that our business modernization solution, right? Or
I
is
would
that a
hope so.
separate avenue?
I don't know which one it goes in, but I just wanted to make sure it's called out specifically because
So
that'll make a
explore
huge
different.
difference.
Oh, you're writing.
And it for things like that, they may not necessarily end up in the full strategic plan, but when it comes to action planning, which is the step afterwards, it may be something that falls under a specific, objective. And then one of those items is explore chat box functions and stuff like that. So, but it's good to capture it here because then it helps us when we get to the action planning stage to, find those items. And then I also have hand raised from board member Sandu.
I think Nicole covered it. I was getting to the same point, but I think with the modernization, I think we'll get to the action planning and come up with ideas.
Right, perfect. And then also board member Mercado.
Yeah, so for number 1, I've kind of been hearing the word innovation as along with modernization. So how do we innovate? So if you can just add that word in there for us. And I think in terms of the user experience, I like what somebody mentioned about the user experience from beginning to end is like the first when they land on our website to how they get licensed, to how we communicate with them, to how they then go on and perform their duties, and then they come back and renew. So I think when we look at business innovation, I think it has to be from beginning to end in terms of the user experience, like the full customer life cycle. And then for number 2, we do use the word explore, but there's nothing about taking action. So I would say explore and implement.
Okay.
Good points.
The one thing I would add, and I don't know specifically how to address it, but just looking at the feedback from some of the external stakeholders for communications, one of the things they noted was that the information and feedback provided by staff can be unclear. So I think we need something that addresses that specific issue with stakeholders. Like explore ways, I don't know, not only how to communicate, but to make information as clear as possible to consumers and to licensees. Doesn't have to be that exactly, but.
There you go.
Just really a word that came up for me was feedback, like consistent, like a feedback loop. That's kind of what I heard.
And then we do have 2 more objectives on the next slide.
I still needed, I had one other point.
Sure, yeah.
I wasn't done. Under unlicensed activity, I'm still not seeing like it seems so broad the way that we have this written and supply chain. So somehow identify what part of the supply chain. I know there's like one example there, but like what?
So we think we're making that broader.
Yeah, so towards, wait, what were you going to say?
The discussion was previously to make that broader, so it's not limited to supply chain. It would be limited, it would be all unlicensed activity. And Sung spoke to, it's not just about medication purchasing or it's also about delivery. It's about, it's not, I think the word supply chain in there is just wrong.
Yeah.
It's too limiting, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the word that they're going to come up with.
Okay, well, there was no notes, so it didn't look like anything got added from the discussion. So, yeah, not sure I have exactly some words, but something related to, yeah, businesses.
I think now you've crossed out too much. Leave businesses.
Oh, we want businesses? Okay, we
Oh,
just
you're
want to
right.
take out the supply chain part.
And then you guys could figure out what that means, but I agree with Renee.
It sounds out of scope to me, like, and like, I know what you mean, like, what's the provision of, like, care, but
While you're thinking, Renee, I'm gonna go to Claudia.
yeah.
Yes, and I think for number 3 too, after reading it, we talk about identifying and evaluating, but then what's our call to action? Should we then say that we're going to increase enforcement around these issues?
Well, that's, I think, going to be more precise based on determination of what it is. And so I think just the process itself could be 5 years.
Got it. So what we're
uh,
saying on how to address it now is just first, it's like part of our strategy, identified, evaluated, and then we'll take necessary steps as time progresses.
That's probably what our thought process
Yeah,
is.
I
And if
like
there,
that so that
yeah,
the board knows
because,
that it's a consistent progress.
I mean, we're not gonna just, we're not gonna be like storming down at a hair salon all of a sudden because we discover something overnight, right? So we're just gonna have to kind of figure that out first.
All right, so these 3 look okay. Can we, okay to move on to next slide? Okay, thank you. I
Renee,
so happy when people use these.
are we good?
Okay, so here are the other 2 under licensing. Thank you. Thank you for humoring me.
Yeah.
We have need for more precise regulation for businesses based on the business model and medically underserved areas and pharmacy deserts.
Okay, my first thought is that number 4 sounds very similar to number 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that we've made some more changes to number 3, so let's
Combining that would be nice then.
Mhm.
let's put a note to say combine with number 3. That way,
I saw them really as different because there's ongoing discussion about business models, which is not the same thing as unlicensed activity, which is illegal activity or unregulated activity.
Actually,
That's what
a
I was
good
thinking
point. Yes,
about.
that's a good point,
Unlicensed, I was
Renee.
thinking
Yes.
about the unregulated
And-
area that has patient safety issues,
And number 4 is
bad product, bad actors, uninformed actors, that was what I was thinking number 3 was about.
I think, yes, with that, I think we should keep it separate. And number 4 is more for that we already have jurisdiction that we know for sure. Yeah, okay, there you go. That makes sense. Are you okay with that, Jesse?
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm a little unclear of the areas, the need for more precise regulation. I know, like, we've kind of talked about some gray areas that aren't necessarily under our scope. And so I'm struggling with seeing what actually falls under this.
Yeah. This is for like we're supposed to be forward looking, but I mean, I think we've already started like a licensing committee on, if a business is, what are we gonna do if the business is doing certain things and we're trying to remove barriers for that businesses and kind of that kind of a way of looking at it. Continuing on that. Are we good with 4 and 5?
Specific instead of precise?
Sure, yeah. Specific, yeah. think it's fine.
You know, somehow precise sounds harsh.
Okay. No
Can,
worries.
can I jump in on number 5? Again, this is more action
Sure.
item, but maybe just a flag. Maybe also having or crossing this one over to Ledge Reg Committee as well. Because I think a lot of the issues are related to like PBMs and like various other barriers. And if we don't address them, I don't think we can help this area. So I think there's another component to it as well.
I also have a note on number 5. I mean, I think that first language is a little confusing to me. Evaluate legal requirements that establish artificial barriers to licensure. Do we mean like unintended barriers?
I think that might have been what was intended. So maybe instead of establish, maybe just maybe identify, because it when it says establish, it sounds like you're establishing the barriers, and we don't want that. So
Or maybe evaluate legal requirements that create unintended barriers to licensure.
How about promote ease of business in underserved pharmacy areas?
Okay.
Oh, do we want to say that?
It'll be broad enough to incorporate anything that is legal and ethical.
All right, so these are the 5 that we have so far, which is a pretty good number.
Oh, Sarah.
No, we want more?
Oh, we're gonna have more. I'm sure. I know our members. I have a few myself.
As a reminder, staff will be completing these objectives. Do we want to add more? I can also pull up the slide, a slide with the objectives from the previous strategic plan.
I already have one that I think we have to include, which is related to PIC. So we need to continue to ensure that our PICs are knowledgeable and well aware and what they are given they need to know that they have quite a responsibility and autonomy. So our objective 1.4 was determine if application requirements for a pharmacist in charge are appropriate to ensure sufficient knowledge.
A little bit slower.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna repeat this because we need to recreate this. So it's it's a step forward from that 1.4. Do you have that, Trisha or Sarah? It's 1.4.
Oh, I don't think it's Okay, so we pasted it in the solution how to address for now.
Yeah.
But that is 1.4 from the previous strategic plan.
Yeah, that was small up there.
And I do think we need to probably say something about standard of care. I think that's really important. I think we just need to remind ourselves, I would like us to focus on like the people aspect because, pharmacies are not going to function without people in it. So hopefully we can.
So how do we feel about number 6 right now? We just kind of want to reword
So
that previous one. Yeah.
just really fast, I think that last concept about create a standard of care is
Separate.
meant to be a separate
Separate,
objective.
yeah.
not
Gotcha.
Part of that one, sorry.
Okay.
So Sung, I like the idea of having a number 7 about standard of care, and maybe some parts of 1.1 could be taken to include that, to talk about reflect the dynamic nature of the practice of
Yes,
pharmacy.
yes.
Those are key words.
Absolutely.
So that was, I think, like take bits and pieces of 1.1. It's
Okay.
not all of 1.1 because that's
From the previous plan, correct? Okay.
That's my ideas. Hello, members. Any suggestions? This is our guiding light for the next 5 years. So this is the moment.
I guess my question is really, is the board really supposed to be establishing the standard of care, or is the standard of care, does it exist in practice on its own?
I think the intent for us is to continue to educate, promote, help pharmacists to be able to do so. Not we necessarily advocating or not advocating. It's more of we need to provide and evaluate what's the barriers to care and continue to help people to take care of their patients. That's kind of what the thought process.
I think we
maybe-
should maybe rephrase the
Yeah.
the problem then.
So maybe it needs to be promote standard of care rather than create.
Oh, it's already created almost, basically, yeah. So it's more continuing.
Yeah,
on
you're
that
doing the
evolution.
promotion for it.
Continuing
Or
on
Yeah.
that evolution,
evaluate.
Yeah.
Evaluate's a key word in there too. Bill.
Is the standard of care really only about licensing?
It's the first
It,
spot.
it could fall into enforcement, but it's not, that's not the
Nudge around.
direction we took, like in the last,
Mhm.
through the sunset process, because it's not a, it's very legalese, but it's not a standard of care enforcement model. That's not what we decided. We decided it's more of a practice model. So practice is more licensing.
It's
So that's kind of
authorizing,
where,
yeah.
I mean, this could also fall into communication, but I think that this is for now licensing, because this is what pharmacists do. Yeah.
So the solution is only part of 1.1, not all of 1.1. So you need to take out the for authorized duties that it can occur outside of a pharmacy. I think that's too limiting and it's no longer applicable.
And then Nicole, I'll go to you after.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Sorry, I didn't know if we were still.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to point out, I know this says to evaluate and change if appropriate, but we're going to need, it's going to need to change. It's a really dynamic thing with standard of care. So we're going to kind of need a model to validate the standard of care as it changes, like certain, I don't know the right words here, but like some disease states change very rapidly. HIV is a great example. So like what was the standard of care a year or two ago is going to be totally different. So we need to be able to keep up on that in a timely manner, or we're going to be inhibiting a standard of care model. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate a little bit, Nicole? Because I think that isn't that already covered under that by itself, the practice model of standard of care?
I just mean, how are we as a board going to keep up with a standard of care, knowing it's very different in like different disease states? Like cardiology, maybe we get a new update on like every couple of years, every 5 years, but there are some that are like constantly evolving in like the specific treatment recommendations. So what are we going to do when we go to a pharmacy and they're doing something and they say, this is the newest guidelines, this is the standard of care? How are we keeping up on that? So we need like a, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but we need a piece to keep up on it in real time.
Real quick, I think dynamic nature might capture that. That's already in there.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we also have a hand from board member Mercado.
I just want to announce I have to go downstairs really quickly, so I'll be back like in 30 seconds if that's okay.
Thank you, Claudia. We're good. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have 7 objectives now for the new strategic plan. How do we feel about these? Do we want to add any more? Oh, okay.
I would just add to promoting a standard of care. I think there needs to be some aspect about like empowering pharmacists to practice a standard of care model, because I don't think the average pharmacist is fully there yet. I think a lot of people still need more education and such. So I think that should definitely be part of the strategy in the next 5 years.
Would that be better suited under communication and public education rather than licensing? Or
I'm open
together?
to either, whatever the board thinks.
We can leave it here under licensing for now, and then it may, as I'm drafting the strategic plan, get moved down to communication.
Okay.
All right, how does licensing look?
Any-
Good?
Any other thoughts? This is it. We only have 7. Wow.
Okay, perfect. All right, and so you don't get bored of me talking the entire time. Trisha and I will be switching, so I'll be scribing, and Trisha will present the next goal area, which is enforcement.
Only 7? Wow. I'm still not okay. Fine.
Sung.
Debbie is happy and
Sung.
Lynn is probably happy. Yes.
Can I just say something? I'm going to be the devil's advocate. So it probably not, I don't know if it's my place, but I'm just going to say it. In talking with Sarah and in planning, you know, she did really recommend for us to stay at that 4 to 6, right? Issues. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say as staff, but I'm just going to say it because I know resources are limited at times. And I think for us to be successful in all these things, that less is more. And I also think that when we were first beginning the discussion, we kept talking about taking stuff from the old plan and then bringing it into the new plan. And I think that if we, I'm not saying decrease expectations, but just like narrow it down a little bit, I think the reality of us being successful with less goals is probably higher. And then we don't have to think about bringing them into the next 5 years and the next 5 years. So sorry if I overstep.
Not at all.
That's just that's my heart, my gut.
That's great. No, this is
Thank you.
good because
Just like we have 7, so
you know, I
maybe
mean,
take a few less in another section.
oh yeah.
Like just calling it out.
Well, just, you know, just remember we were like so audacious the last cycle. So
Yes.
there were like 10 and 9 and so
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, we're just
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm good. We're
Stresses
good.
me out.
Oh, don't be stressed.
All right, I'm going to
Don't
stop
be
talking.
stressed.
Sorry.
Don't be stressed. Okay.
All right, so moving on to our
Yeah, sorry, you missed the part when Sarah was introducing. Sadly, this is, I think, really important for you. So,
What? I missed the part.
because she was introducing, so here we go. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, yeah, this is
On the-
this is all my,
Okay. Trisha's gonna present this section, and I'll just be doing the typing for this, so.
All right, so now we're on compliance and compounding, and we have a suggestion for a new statement defining what compliance and compounding is, and that is the board protects consumers by effectively promoting compliance with legal requirements. How do we feel about that new suggested description of this goal area?
I have 2 suggestions. One is, the more controversial one is I think we should take out and compounding. I think we focus too much on compounding, that it's about compliance, which includes all practice areas of pharmacy. And also when you look at the current and the suggested, nowhere does it talk about compounding. So I don't think it should be in the title. I don't know, that's going to be controversial. The other one is suggested. I think one of the things that I don't want to I think we're oftentimes need to be very clear that we're not limited to just legal requirements, but it's, I'm not sure of the correct words. I think sometimes we say guidelines, sometimes we say standards, but those are referred to in the legal requirements. But I think that it still would be helpful to include, even though above it says standards, I would not necessarily put guidelines and standards. I would say I would start with legal requirements and standards. I think that would be my suggestion, but I'm sure I would defer to those that work in this area, and perhaps Corinne has some comment too about, because we use those statements quite a bit in our referring to the regulations.
What do you think about the biggie here of changing enforcement to compliance, though?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, okay.
I talked about that earlier. I thought that was really good. Although many people see that as still as having a negative connotation, it's not meant to be negative. It's supposed to be meant to that when we follow the rules and the laws, we protect our patients. It's not about negative. So that's a first step.
Go ahead, Renee.
This is Renee. Yeah, I would agree of just having the one word because technically, like it seems that it historically it's just been like enforcement is what that committee was called, and then they kind of started adding like sometimes and compounding, and then it became and compounding, and I think just compliance, I would agree, is really what it is.
How about the thoughts about the suggested goal as Maria? I agree, actually. I think that's a great idea. Not just legal requirements, but more. Yeah. Green? Are we green? Green?
All right, I'm seeing nods from the people online as well, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here, you have to do that.
And then for people following along on the with the environmental scan, the summary is on pages 13 through 16. And then top strengths in compliance, we have quality of inspectors and strong consumer protection. Good job there. Take a look at weaknesses, and you have a printout of this as well. The green checks, as Sarah mentioned earlier, are just items or issues that we feel are have already been addressed with the pre-suggestions. So slow investigation times, understaffed enforcement units, board is overly punitive, poor quality inspectors, inconsistency in inspections, rigid compounding regulations, and then some sunset review report items as well that have been addressed. So as before, we'll give you a chance to read over what has already been workshopped and let us know what you think. And I see a hand from Board Member Tebow. Did you want to make a comment?
I did. I'm sorry. And I'm going back a little bit. I didn't, something about just calling it compliance isn't sitting right with me. And I don't have a great answer, but I feel like it needs one other word, like workflow compliance, operational compliance. It needs like one more word that goes with it to describe what the compliance is related to, but I can't think of what the right word is.
Would it be regulatory compliance?
Maybe. I don't. It's like your compliance with what you're supposed to be doing. Like it's operational compliance, but I don't know if operational is like is a.
But it isn't just one word compliance that captures everything, though, Nicole. What is it about that? What's the hesitation for you?
I want them to know that this is where like the compounding falls under, that this is where like the operational pieces fall. And I feel like that's what's missing because kind of everything is compliance. It's very, very broad. And I want people from the outside to understand if they're trying to talk about like an operational piece, this is the committee that they go to. Does that make sense? I feel like that's missing. And maybe I'm totally wrong. If no one else feels that way, that's fine. But I feel like people aren't going to understand that this is where like the operations falls.
Well, operations only a small piece of compliance and enforcement. So we in the past have called it enforcement. We could, I don't know what you could add more than just saying Board of Pharmacy compliance. I mean, I'm not sure what else you could add.
I just want people to know where the operational piece falls. That's where I think the confusion
It falls under
is going to
licensing
be.
too. It falls under, so operations falls in multiple areas. So I'm kind of
True.
concerned about saying operational compliance. We
I'm
could.
not explaining this very well. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else gets what I'm trying to say.
I see that Board Member Mercado has a raised hand.
Yeah, Nicole, when you were talking, actually the word that came up was compliance and standards. Because standards to me implies like if we want to create a premier, user experience, then that's a standard we set. If we expect everybody to comply to the regulations, that's a standard. So we're just reinforcing the fact that we have certain standards. We're not allowing anybody to take shortcuts, and we're bringing a premier experience if that's what we choose to do, or not. But those are the standards we set as a goal. Those are my thoughts.
So how do people feel about adding the word standards? So compliance and standards.
I don't have a problem with the word standards, but I have the problem with the and, because it implies it's a secondary function, and enforcement does not educate to standards. That's, so we don't, but I like the word standard, and you could say something else compliance, but it's not an and because it implies that it's another function.
I guess I would add, like, because in the suggested statement, we have legal requirements and standards. Standards are referred to something specific, like a body of standard requirement, right? So like I think that's using that same word differently. So I feel like that's not a good use.
Our chief of enforcement has a thought. So let me give it to Janice. Welcome, Janice.
Good morning. Oh, can you
Is it-
hear me?
Is it on? I don't think so.
Green. Eat it. Eat it? Okay.
There you are.
Since we're talking about rules and regulations, can we just use the word legal compliance? Because standards is really it doesn't necessarily mean law, that they're following the law.
But don't we?
Yeah, I
in
think-
some areas, don't we have them to the standards, Janice? Like,
Well, that's built into the law that they provide standard of care.
I see what you're saying, because so legal is just implies that our standards are around a body of legal language, not so much around our personal standards as a board.
That was my thought.
Yeah, so legal compliance will imply that we're the board following the compliance of the legal language.
I think if we're going to use legal, I don't see what everybody thinks, but I would prefer Jeff's recommendation of regulatory compliance than like legal compliance.
Oh, no.
But
the regulatory
That's
just is
too
regulatory.
limited.
They're statutory. So
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
I
like
see.
that.
But I think there has to be a third word. I like what Janice says. I think that's a good place, a soft place to land right now, but maybe put a pin in it to come with, someone go through as thesaurus.
I really don't like legal or regulatory, to be honest. I liked the compliance and standards previously mentioned
Oh,
because
not-
I think part of this is like the dynamic piece that the standards are changing. And it's not necessarily, I know that in law, we have like the legal requirements that tie it to the standard of care, but just so that pharmacists know and can refer to this too.
I think we should just do compliance and go from there. I think that encapsulates enough, and I think people will hopefully understand what it's trying to do. So let's just land on compliance for now, and then we'll if we have some new awakening, we can revisit this.
Okay. Are we going to take them one at, oh goodness, you got 4 and 5.
All right, so we've got 5 objectives so far, but we'll take a look at the first 3 and let us know what you think.
Number 1 is very new. It's like brand spanking new. It's like, is that something that you wanted to move in that direction?
Do you want to talk, or James?
So I think that what I would say, I guess specifically here, is that it's kind of been a common theme that we've heard pretty consistently from both members and stakeholders.
So the consistency part, but new inspection program and reimagine.
Oh, that's just the
Sorry,
software.
that's the software system that I talked about. So apologies, but that's the new software
I
system
think
that
that
we're
needs to be
using.
clear because it makes it sound like we're throwing out the old system, not process, not system. So system means computers
Oh,
and
like, it
documentation.
sounds like
But
we're
I thought you were
coming
like,
up
you're
with-
like, okay, we're going to start over and have a new
Yeah, okay.
inspection process.
Yes,
So that kind
that's-
of threw me.
Yes.
So that's very similar to 2.6 in the past.
So emphasis on that it's a software piece, Sarah and Tricia.
So as long as it encourages some of the words in 2.6, which talks about improved compliance, support licensee, interpret, consistency on how inspectors, those kind of words from 2.6, I think would be helpful.
Yes.
Not all the words, but, okay, so
So
that makes it
Mary,
easier. Okay,
M-
you kind of threw
Mary,
me there. I thought this is really, our inspection system is not perfect, but it's not broken. It's going to be improved.
so Mary 1 to 2.6 in the old.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one works.
And then Nicole Thibault, did you have something to say about number 1?
I did, but I think Satinder maybe had something first.
Oh no,
You didn't. Oh, sorry. I thought you were
sorry.
speaking. I was just going to say, I think the I don't believe that there's truly inconsistencies in inspections. I think there's a lack of transparency in how they're doing the inspection, and that's what causes that. So could we call out maybe an increased transparency? I don't know what that looks like, but maybe everybody gets like a standardized form at the end of their inspection. I'm getting into answers. We can get to that later, but just something that's more transparent so they can see exactly what was looked at and what was okay and what wasn't.
I'm just gonna
Checklist
pause
or
here though.
checklist
Here,
form.
I want to give. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Satinder.
Oh no, I think that's a solution. I mean, we're getting to solving it, but like some sort of checklist kind of method.
So I'm gonna pause here because I think that's a little bit pretty deep. So I'm gonna give Anne and Janice and Jules opportunity, just if you guys want, about this transparency piece, because I know that can be a little tricky because sometimes they do have to really dig in, and not always they're gonna be able to like provide transparency because you're investigating something. So I don't know how I feel about it.
That's fair.
Renee's
Yeah, sorry. I just want to, before we kind of move in that direction, I do want to put a pin in it, I think you say, for what Ann said about the inconsistency. I think that is a word, and that is what we've heard, and I know some of us have experienced over the years, and I mean, I'm seeing improvements personally, but
Absolutely.
I think we like that is definitely the word that gets
I
brought up.
agree,
So
yes.
it is inconsistency. It may be other things, but it's definitely that's one of the words that we need to have in there as a goal. So
Sure. And maybe the transparency piece is a public education and communication committee
Oh, there
item
you go.
as opposed to here that we just, I think a lot of people feel confused and scared about inspections. So maybe if we do more about them, it becomes more, that's where the transparency lies. Maybe not at the individual level, but at the broader level.
Come on, you guys speak up. Our
So I have one more, if no one else is going to speak about, I have one more thing about, because I'm a little, I see two different issues, and that's the inconsistency that we hear about is when people compare their inspection to others, which is the rumor mill
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
stories.
this and very rarely do I think the average pharmacy and pharmacist hear the annual presentation to get the data of what happens across the system. So I agree with education and public education about the annual review. I'm not sure if the inconsistency is because people feel that they're being inconsistent with their inspection, or they feel that they compare themselves to others. And you can only, believe what people tell you unless you actually see their report. And sometimes people fudge a little bit about, I was written up on this, and it may be not necessarily true because we have a very small, tight-knit community. People share some things, but sometimes they don't share everything. So I guess the question is the inconsistency that that came out in the what is it called, the environmental scan, about the perceived inconsistency during their inspection or when they compare themselves to others? I think those are two different ways to solve it then.
So that's a great point, Maria. And then Janice, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I think there's two different type of inspections when we're talking about inspections. When we go out and do a routine, it's pretty set what we do. We've tried to be transparent. We came out with the inspection brochure. If you review the PIC's training, it goes through the process of an inspection, what to expect, what we ask for. So we have been making efforts to be transparent. However, if we're going in there for specifically an investigation, we may not be transparent in the sense of what we're looking for. We're asking for documents. We're collecting facts, evidence. And so to try to make a determination and, evaluate what's going on. So I would say in an investigation, the inspectors are explaining, that they are there for a complaint, but they may not be focusing on everything that you would do with a routine inspection. They're specifically going in for an investigation. Whereas if they're doing a routine, pretty much they're standardized of when we provide training to our inspectors, what they should be looking on a routine inspection.
So that's very interesting because I think there's a disconnect there because what I've heard and experienced in the past, I haven't experienced this recently, but the inconsistency is not on the inspection process. It's in the application of the results and the application of the interpretation of is the pharmacy sufficiently following something or not? That's where it's interpersonal inconsistency. It's not about the process. I think that everyone feels comfortable with the process. The board has done a lot of education. And that really is based on rumor and innuendo because no one really knows it unless you are following inspectors to find out how they're actually, communicating with the individuals. I probably talked too much about that, but I think that's the issue is people feel that they're being applied differently in different situations. It's a feeling, and
you're talking more about the inspector's interpretation of the law.
No, the feeling that the pharmacists have about the interpretation. So that's their feeling.
So this is Renee. I just want to say I kind of agree and also don't agree. I think that the inconsistency that I think was discussed a lot during what came up during all the compounding conversations anyway is the variability with each inspector and how they maybe, like you said, interpret the results or what they see as the standard. And I'm an N of one, but I've had a lot of inspections, and I can say that I see what people are saying. That there was a variability in one location by inspector to require this, not require this, require this, not require this. But I will also move forward saying that I think and I know that there's been a lot of work done in the last several years to kind of level set that and try to make the application and not somebody who's adhering to some best practice versus a regulation. So I do think there is inconsistency in the inspections, and I think people have experienced it themselves, not just because they're comparing with their colleagues. So I think there could be both of that going on, but I think it was kind of said repeatedly during our conversations and why this showed up on the scan. So I think just addressing it, we're addressing it, but I just want to call that out.
Just to pause here, I'll get to you, Satinder, and then KK, but I do want to call out to Janice, Ann, and Jules. They do try very hard. Very hard. They have been, it's been in our strategic objectives last time, as you said. They try very hard, work every day to make it as consistency as possible. So just want to thank you all for all you do already currently. But it's just human aspect of things too. I think that's why it's always comes up and it is true. And then we experience it and then we remember it. It could just be one off and we remember these things because it's like, it's engraved in our experiences. Anyway, so I'm gonna go to you, Satinder, and then I'll go to you, KK.
Well, I was just going to say that I'm kind of seeing the both. The feedback that I've gotten is one, there's inconsistency in how sometimes one inspector sees a particular rule, the way Janice was talking about, and the way Renee described. And also Maria's point, there's sometimes the pharmacists think the inspector is saying one, they're misremembering what they're telling them. So it's both is happening. And I think the board, the staff has done an incredible job of educating. You see it once they start getting feedback, you'll see decrease. And it happens when there's a new regulations, you have every inspector going in and sometimes you see an inconsistency there. And as the feedback gets back, and then you see it more gets streamlined as the regulation becomes more mature or it's had a few years or something like that. That's my experience has been in in the field.
Gotcha. Thank you, Satinder. And then KK.
Yeah, going by my experience, I have a different practice setting. It is quite different and long-term care, and there is certain degree of variability that we have, but we have been generally observing that they are consistent. I think what I would like to see is, again, not the scope of this meeting, but some kind of a reportage already exist that if pharmacy is booked, quote unquote, under so and so statute, then we can look at a line and say, okay, this number, and I'm just throwing a number, not correct number, 1263.5, and we can see that every enforcement action taken throughout that year, just to compare and see where the variability lies. For example, if it's a ADU license and somebody got booked for that, what were the issues across the industry, so we can explain things to industry, and B, we can also look at the I think that may be reported somewhere and I may have missed it, but by and large I'm happy with the consistency part. But I think we should report by the statute that we use to report something, and B, I would like to see maybe a periodic review that would say, this is the enforcement statistics on this one. It is trending up, trending down. This is more education needed because a lot more people get, quote unquote, trapped here. I think those were the things, probably not what we're discussing here, but that's what I like to see. But consistency, by and large, my experience is pretty good in the field that I operate in.
Thank you, KK. And I just like to remind everyone, I know that we're supposed to focus on quote unquote, weaknesses, but we overall at large, our numbers are still pretty good. And I would say that out of 1,613 total responses of external stakeholder weaknesses, it was 28 that says inconsistency inspection. So I think we are ready to move on to number 2. So let's move on to next one here. So are we in agreement? Do we need refinement?
I like number 2.
I would like to draw attention to 2.8 on the old one and include some of the words there, especially build relationships. I think that was a really good
Yeah, I think
thing
that
to
can
comment.
be. Yeah.
So looking at 2.8, taking some of the words out to move them together.
I'm sorry. Is it Trisha or Sarah? Sarah. Okay. Oh, you're doing. I'm sorry. As a terrible multitasker myself, I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm like talking to you while you're typing, so I'm
No
sorry.
worries.
Apologies in advance. Okay, moving on to 3. How are we doing?
I like this, but I'm trying to figure out, like, it needs some more words to say, to do what of the boards, for compliance, I guess. Maybe it's under compliance, so that's obvious. Acceptance, appliance, what do we, implementation review to see where we are in the spectrum of, what's it called, incorporating the board's, I like what it says, and maybe that's the place to just leave it, but, and the committee can decide the what and the how and
yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
But just having some sort of ongoing evaluation is good.
Yeah, and it's there because compounding regulation was highlighted as one of the weaknesses.
And it's not, I think that it's not to well, I guess, is it to evaluate the regulations and or is it to evaluate the impact? Maybe it's the board's impact, or, because it's not, I'm not quite sure if we're going to like reopen everything and reevaluate all the compounding regulations. That's not the point. The point is maybe the impact of,
But we might have to though, don't we?
I know, that's, I'm glad,
So in the
There's-
environmental scan, respondents talked about it being difficult to implement the compounding regulations.
yeah,
And some said they were too strict, so
yeah.
So let's start with a review, right? And then go from there.
So maybe it's a review of the impact of the board's compounding regulations.
Review of the impact. Okay.
I don't know, is that too picky?
No, I think the intent is there for you all to wordsmith.
I just don't, yeah, I wouldn't want the committee to necessarily start with, okay, let's open this
Open up
up
a
and
regulation.
start over
right?
again.
No. I don't think that's the intent of this statement. I think the
Okay.
intent of it is for us to do a post-implementation review, and that's more the
So, and one of the impacts is we talked about, compounding, I can't think of the right word now, the compounding, businesses in California. We were worried about at one point, whether the number of licensed entities would increase or decrease or stay the same. That would be one of the impact areas to look at.
but that's going into pretty deep. I
Yeah,
think the
no, but
committee
that's why I
can-
think impact is a good thing.
yeah.
Otherwise, I would have interpreted that to mean a lot, which is another 5-year program.
And this is just something to note, since we took compounding out of this goal area, this objective specifically make it move to goal area 3 legislation regulation. Since it's kind of like evaluating the impact of those regulations.
Well, that's why it's impact, it's the enforcement impact.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because, yeah. So maybe there's a way to word that so that's not missed. Well, enforcement. Implementation impact, or enforcement sounds too harsh. Yeah. Or, yeah, the review of the compliance. There we go, instead of saying impact. Yeah, thank you, better.
Okay, are we good? Moving to 4? I know, sorry, here. You guys brought all these gadgets here. Let's just, all right, 4.
What does that mean?
I think the intent was to not lose our 4-year goal.
So yeah, so that's what I wanted to make sure. 2.3 stays in there. But other license types is what's throwing me. So,
And I think that was to not just focus on pharmacy. Like, because remember we
you
heard
mean
some
like,
public com-
like you mentioned beauty salons, but what are you mentioning?
Ooh, I think it's more like like the surgical clinics. We constantly hear
okay,
public comments, right, about
So, okay.
don't kill me, Jules and Janice. Don't throw rocks.
So I
at
would
me
include
here.
the actual 2.3, so it has the actual 4-year goal in there. I think that's good.
Give me 1 second, I'm copying it over from the previous plan.
I don't think we want to say exactly that though.
No, but just the 4-year. That's the part that I wanted out of that.
Gotcha, okay.
Well,
But is that sounding
That's
like
not
that
for
means
every, I think,
that could sound like we're gonna want to go into every
yeah, I would put that as an
licensed
and.
facility
It,
every 4 years. That's crazy.
No,
So
yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would say something about 4 years and expand. So maybe, whatever, I forgot what 2.3 says in the beginning, put that as the beginning and then and expand the boards to other license type. Yeah, now I understand what you mean by license types. I think that
Yeah, so sorry. So I think we're kind of dialed in on the 4 years for the pharmacy at the resource consideration level. Doing 4 years for all business types
no, that's
might
not saying
be-
that.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying that. So that's what I was trying to include them both is to say the first part would be about the 4 years. And then the second statement would be and expand. So it'd be talking about current inspections, which would be not, so if you put 2.3 at the very beginning of the sentence, it talks about pharmacy inspections. And then that's one license type. And then the second comment at least every 4 years, and then take out, we say we're going to wordsmith, but here I am. Take out the 2 all the way to licensees every 4 years and expand the board's routine inspections. You have that already there. You're retyping. And then take out at the second, at least every 4 years.
I'm agreeing with the intent.
So yeah, so what something like that, but take out the second and. But I'm thinking of 2 different things. One is continue, not, okay. That's fine. I think that routine inspections too, that's the and that needs to go. But so I'm thinking that we need to keep the current expectation unless, Ann, you're saying that that's in departmental policy. If it's in policy, we don't need it in goal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think I don't know how to say this the right way, but it's kind of become part of our fabric.
I just don't want us to go back to another point where we have let's say we have a part where we have to lay off inspectors and all of a sudden we're back to 6 years or 7 years inspection timelines. I mean, I'm looking at the future and right now you've done an excellent job. The inspectors are doing a great job. But what's going to happen when something has to move? Is it going to be the 4-year goal?
So I might say that resource in general is always going to be a constraint for us, right? We only have limited, and if we lose something's going to have to change on the plate.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's maybe where some of the organizational effectiveness concept will come in when we're having to make those tough decisions.
What if it's like, since is considered the standard, the 4 years, is that the inspections of all licensed pharmacies, like the interval is maintained and then expand, like if you don't want to have the specific
Yeah.
4 year, like we want to hold to the interval, the current interval, but we're also going to, talk about a goal of expanding routine inspections to other license types.
Yeah, that's what I hope that will say, but it needs to be wordsmithed a little bit because now it doesn't quite make sense, but.
Do we need to take out the and to expand and just leave it as expand boards routine inspections to other
So-
license types?
After years, it would say and expand,
Okay.
and then routine inspections to other license types. And then,
The
because
better?
then the two proactively assess operations and educate fits both parts of that. So that's correct there.
Okay.
But that's just my suggestion. I'm sure people have their hands up. No, I don't see.
What if we were to say, and to assess expanding?
Oh. Sure. Because you might do one at a time, not all of them.
I mean, in a perfect world, we'd like to do as much as
So
possible,
if you put
but
it in the wrong
Jules,
place.
I know you're trying to bring us down to earth.
We-
So thank you. Yes.
Assess goes after the and.
right.
Yeah.
Assess expansion. Assess expanding, either way.
Okay.
Are we good with 4? I mean 5? I mean 4? Yes, 4. 4. Green?
Okay. Did we want to leave in the 4 years? I'm just clarifying. Sounded like we didn't.
I think
4 years for
we didn't need
pharmacies,
to.
but not
Yeah.
for everybody else.
Okay, but I thought we were already doing that? Or we've kind of achieved that?
Go away. So my concern in keeping it is that it stays as a goal, that in 2 or 3 years, it doesn't slip to 5 and 6 years, and that's not because it's no longer our goal.
And hopefully by next strategic
Sure.
plan in 5 years, they can say it's so in there, that we can, whoever it is here can let it go. But I think for now, I think it's best that we keep it for 4 years.
I just wanted to clarify for the other license types, that would not be every 4 years, correct? Okay.
That's
I put
very
a note
important,
so
yes.
that we know that they're different.
Yes. 2 different things. Okay, 5. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts here, Maria, because this
Length, I like the statement, but I'm thinking lengthy, and so I guess I'm trying to evaluate what the scan actually meant. Did the commenters talk about the enforcement process or the disciplinary process is long, or did they really say investigation process is long? Because I know that the legal process is really long. Once you get into, the citation and the,
well, yeah,
yeah,
and I think
wanting
it's,
office conferences and wanting this and that gets
Yeah.
to be long, but the actual investigation, I don't know how long, if that's a problem too.
So this one was from internal stakeholders. So like this could be, board
Oh.
members or staff. They mentioned both investigation and case resolution times.
Okay.
And they said, especially when it comes to non-jurisdictional or customer service complaints. So
So I
kind
guess-
of somewhat stuff that feels a little somewhat outside the board's control.
So I guess Janice, is the investigation, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking her question.
okay.
Is the investigation process longer than could it be shortened? Or is the length of the process not because of investigation, but because of all the other legal things we have to do?
I think the challenge is the perception might not be what the reality is either. So
This was all internal, yeah.
So I think that some of the sorry, is it okay that I jumped in? I apologize. I'm so sorry. So I think some of the concept here is developing a strategic objective where we can maybe learn to do some things differently whether it's leveraging technology in some, you can't do it in all investigations, but there may be ways to do things. We have how we currently do it there, but there may be opportunities to find ways to do things better. And, maybe it's, leveraging electronic records or, I don't know, AI or whatever. But so looking at where there are ways for us to maybe work a little bit different to overall reduce, the times that are within our swim lane.
I just want to add that I do get the impression from licensees too, that if there is a complaint, the investigation process does take a bit of time. So I think The only thing in our control really is maybe leveraging technology, because obviously like there's not much we can do about a staffing issue if we're only allocated so much from, as a budget.
And Board Member Board Member Tebow had a hand raised.
I had some more suggestions maybe for the title, but if we only when everyone's finished this part of the discussion.
What do you think, Maria?
I'm ready. Oh, Green.
Okay.
I have 3 additions though.
Okay, no worries. We're planning to take lunch around 12:15.
As long as
So
we finish this section, so.
hopefully, yes. Go ahead.
2.1, medication errors to reduce errors. I think we need to have that for sure, even if it's worded the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wasn't sure if I should, because I
Because
think
we
it's
have a
good.
whole camera and all that.
Okay, that's good. Green.
211.
Give me one moment.
Did we have 11 last time?
Yes, we did, but it wasn't on the report. It was added later. So you guys forgot about duty to consult. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I
211,
have
duty to
this one.
consult. That might need to be reworded a little bit since we've already working on it. It's not in that report. It was
Okay,
added later.
Yeah, if you could read that one to me and a little bit slow. I type
Oh, I
fast, but
don't
not
have
that
it in front of
fast.
me. I don't have it in front of me because it was in some minutes.
Oh,
But we
gotcha.
might need to reword it. So maybe just make note that it might need to be reworded because we're already working on that. So some things are already done. That's duty to consult is what it's called.
Yes.
Do you remember what the problem was for that one?
Duty to consult.
Duty to consult. Thank you.
But it might be worded differently. You might have to word that a little bit differently too. That's just what we refer to it as. And then I'd really like to hear others, but I'd like to keep 2.9, which is medication handling at locations not regulated by the Board of Pharmacy to increase patient safety and standardized care.
Can we maybe incorporate that into something? Nope, maybe not.
I just don't want to lose, I was going to say momentum. It's not moving very fast, but lose the concept because that is still a huge patient safety issue and we're not going to talk about it today, but yeah, I'd like to keep that concept somewhere.
Should we combine that one with the licensing committee one? That was kind of related. It might have been number 3 on the licensing committee.
Yeah, that would be fine. That would, I think that
that's-
we, I'm not quite sure if it's a licensing thing actually, because when you have negative patient outcome, well, I'm not sure. Wherever the group decides it to be, just the
I don't-
concept is important.
I don't think we can do anything with compliance if they're not licensed by us or if we don't have any like oversight. So maybe it lives
we
in
can, we
licensing
can.
until then. Well, true.
Sometimes we can. Yeah.
Sometimes they're
unlicensed activity,
practicing pharmacy without a license. This is kind of unlicensed
Fair,
activity
fair,
too. So it
yeah.
kind of falls into that too.
Yeah, I was thinking more of like the hydration clinics, like the places that we truly don't have any, but yeah, you're right.
All right, so how do people feel about those 3 additional objectives?
Can you go back to the previous page?
One second. I think I have a suggestion from Anne. Okay, sorry. You said previous page, just for 4, 5, and 6? Okay.
Yeah, just looking at the medication error one that we have. I think that we can probably reword that to start evaluating the results from CAMER, since we really haven't done that yet. I don't know exactly how to word it, but yeah, I would kind of basically just like remove the previous word, because we kind of achieved the objective from last time in that we implemented a system, and now we have to see the results from the system.
I would suggest making that an EG So evaluate and take necessary actions regarding the cause and effects of medication to reduce errors, and then put e.g. Kamer, rather than call it out separately, because that's only one way of doing medication errors. We have other tools, perhaps.
Quality assurance.
Yeah. So I like that, that we're bringing attention to it, but it's just one of the toolbox. Oh, okay.
I'm in agreement.
I think Renee's this way.
And then the one that you sent me, Anne, is this for number 8? Number 7, thank you.
So,
I love
yeah,
that.
it does need to be reworded. Number 7 would need to be reworded.
Great job, Anne.
Well, I have a question, I guess. Are we having like serious issues with duty to consult that we feel like it needs to be?
It's on our agenda today, tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about that.
Yes, I think so, Jesse.
And
so many layers of it. Yeah.
The consultation stuff has been a big topic in the Public Education and Communication Committee as well. So maybe we want to make a note for some crossover.
So we're going to have to reword it a little bit. Maybe Sung and Anne can do that offline, because evaluating barriers was the first step. And I think that we're going to talk about that later, that now we need to have some action verbs in here.
I don't know how we did this last time, wordsmithing, because we were like, oh, you have to use action verb and
Yes,
like all
we're
that.
just capturing the issue and how to solve the actual writing of it, which will include the action verbs happens off.
Yeah, because we're no longer evaluating barriers.
Okay.
So that's not the next 5-year plan. But
Okay.
That's the part. Okay.
So are we all green with what we have? And then we're going to go back to Nicole real quick, and then we're ready for lunch. Green? Okay. Okay. So Nicole,
Yeah, okay,
back to
so
you. Here we
just
go.
a couple
Drum
thoughts.
roll.
So we could possibly do practice standards. So where we were using the word standards, we could use practice standards and compliance. We could do something like standards, operations, and compliance, or something somehow incorporating the word clinical. So like standards and clinical compliance or something to that effect.
Compliance, practice standards, compliance standards, operations. Oh.
I would not want to make it more complicated or potentially limit the scope, especially when you're looking at this will roll into what the functions of the committee are.
I like practice standards and compliance.
I do too. I just want, again, I'm just trying to incorporate that, like, this is the area where you would go if you're having like a practice or operational or workflow issue. That's the piece I think is missing. And I think practice standards catches that.
Practice standards is not a legal term. And I think one of the things I get stuck on is with enforcement, it's all about what's legally an option. Practice standards go back to standard of care, which changes. And so we can't enforce practice standards. So
I'm actually with Maria on this. I think that we're getting a little too, I don't know why compliance, it's broad enough that I think it captures everything, just seems, I think if we says because then it gets into legal question of what that actually means. And
I don't want.
And I think I remember from Dr. Steve Gray saying there's a difference of legal thoughts on standard of practice versus standard of care and regulatory compliance and statutory compliance. And so just compliance to me seems like, okay, maybe I'll do straw poll real quick. I think we're going to have to do that. Unless nobody, I think compliance, I would rather do compliance, but compliance. Compliance. Okay, in the room is more compliance. Where are we, virtual world?
Compliance.
I could go either way at this point.
Okay. Sorry, Nicole. Are you okay?
No.
All
No,
right.
it's okay.
I
I just,
understand. Yeah. I
if there's a way, if there's a way to make it clear that this is where like those pieces live in like the description or something, that would be helpful. I feel like that's just what's missing, that people aren't going to know that this is where you go. Now that it doesn't say compounding, like this is where you go to look for those things. So I just don't want people to like not go to the right place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And I think in our goal area, the board protects consumers by, you know, effectively promoting compliance with legal requirements.
What about we add a practice before the word standards? Could that work?
No, because it's not about practice, it's about locations. I think anything we do to limit it really puts us in a tough legal situation. So, I think maybe we table this and have an ongoing discussion, because I think that maybe a word could be added, but it can't be a limiting word.
Okay.
So I think I understand what Nicole's saying, though, because some of what we are doing now has transitioned to a standard of care. And so we may get to the point where we have issues that come up where we are evaluating the standard of care as well.
But that's not going to be in this committee. That will be, so maybe Anne can repeat again how, when they're, the way I understood it is when there's a disciplinary issue regarding standard of care, we would bring in experts and there'd be testimony and how that would be done. It's not going to be through the committee. The committee is not going to decide, following the American Heart Association guidelines is the way to do it. That's not what the committee is going to do.
I see.
It's not going to define
I
standard of care.
understand what you're saying, but I think it's important for people to know where to look for
It's not going to
the
be in this committee. That's my understanding, is we're not going to be directing what the standard of care is or interpreting
I understand
it.
that. Yeah.
I think the challenge is like there's so many cross sectionals. There's a business compliance, there's individual practice standard, and there's a regulatory compliance and the compounding regulation. So I think just to keep it simple, because it's all inclusive in some way or may not, I think we just compliance, and I think our suggested goal is broad enough. It captures if it needs be, and we move forward. So hopefully that's agreeable, because there's a lot of very narrow thoughts going on, and I think we need to bring it to a little more just bigger picture. Let's go bigger picture. Claudia?
Yeah, so just to kind of, we're doing a strategic plan for the whole board. This is goal number 2 for the board. So I keep hearing this committee. Can somebody just briefly clarify why we keep saying that? Because as to Nicole's point, as the organization evolves in the next 5 years through this plan, we're also setting ourselves up for success in the near future. So standard of care and compliance, to me, sounds like an organizational goal, not so much a committee.
Yeah, Claudia, great point. The reason is usually these goals, each goal areas are handled by the committee first. So committee evaluates, they are maintaining how the progress is done at the committee level, and then the full board is brought in at the board meeting to make sure that the whole board agrees and is being, monitoring the progress of each of the objectives that are being developed here. So committee is usually in charge of each of these goal areas.
But collectively, as a board, every committee compounds into our overarching goal, and goal number 2 is a board goal. So I hear Nicole's point that
she doesn't know what the
but I'm ready to move forward. Those are just my thoughts.
Okay.
I think it's that this is the committee name. We're talking about the committee name.
So like the board carries forward its mission, vision, values by establishing 5 committees, and each committee has its goals and objectives, and that's the objectives within the committee. But as a whole board, we're obviously all held to that. But it's for that each committee's focuses for the next 5 years is going to be these objectives. Hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if that's
I mean, that's clear now. Solid. Can you, or can we just get some clarity there? Just to kind of bring me back to what we're doing here collectively? Because I missed that part. This was the goal for the
I think
committees.
what we're talking about here is that the 5 goals are the 5 committees of the board. Licensing is a committee.
Got it.
Enforcement is
Okay.
now going to be called compliance.
If that's the case, then I understand. Thank you.
okay. Lunchtime. Thank you, everybody. I hope we're keeping everybody entertained here. So we'll be back at I think it has to be 45 minutes, right? Okay, so we'll be back at 1:05. 1:05. See you all back. Enjoy your lunch.